Up and, excuse me, great start to the program because I yelled at our basketball practice last night. I wondered how this was going to start today. I wondered, there was a lot of yelling. I was trying to energize the kids, Preston and Jen.
What were you yelling?
Positive things.
Give it to me.
Like,
give it to me.
Let's play. Let's be more aggressive getting up on the floor. Aggressive. Push the ball. Rebound. All of a sudden, I tried to hit a rebound note there in my chest. So I actually last night was like, I wonder how my voice is going to be today. And obviously driving in by myself in the car, I didn't speak to myself. I didn't speak out loud to myself. And so that was an interesting start. So I'm already seeing that we're...
Well, here's the thing. Because I fell into this conundrum a little bit earlier this year. You got to make your priorities, right? you gotta have your priorities. I was doing the announcing for the gymnastics meet, and I realized halfway through, like, hey, you're getting paid for that. You're not getting paid for this. So you need to figure out what's important to you here, all right? What's the important thing is what brings in the money, all right? So we gotta make sure you make your priorities on that.
Look, I'll say this. Those kids had one of their best practice. We scrimmaged two different teams last night. Those kids had one of their best practices ever last night. It just took me showing a little bit of energy, and now I got to coach an AAU tournament this weekend, at least starting tomorrow morning. I'll have to check that. I mean, I told Preston off air yesterday, the schedule of the games. Preston, this is Welcome to AAU basketball. That schedule changed 3 times, maybe even 4 times by the time we finished up last night. But up and Adam, 6:02 on your Friday morning. We're wrapping up the week after a very entertaining night, Preston Thorne, across the board. Whatever you want to pick. You want to go with some playoffs? Don't worry. We got you covered. Playoffs last night were really, really entertaining. NHL and NBA, that was a good start. You want to go with the NBA draft? Or excuse me, the NFL draft? I'll admit I didn't get that much into it. I was more invested in the playoffs, but of course I was flipping back and forth and keeping an eye on it. Number one, and I want your opinion on this because I know we're not going to spend a lot of time. You and I think, kind of talked about this, the draft being in Green Bay. How did you like the ambiance, the setting, everything that they had kind of going there? Looked pretty cool on television, I thought.
Yeah, I think they did a lot of camera tricks. When they did the pan out, didn't feel as if it was as grand as it has been in other places. Obviously, the people that were there had fun, so kudos to them. But I think they did a little bit of trickery to make it look grand. Like the green rooms were these little model kits with little rugs set up. It was very interesting. Some interior designer had a good day yesterday, but it was fine.
Okay.
It was fine.
Did you see the little graphic? I happened to catch this, that I think something like the population of Green Bay, just that little area, is like 105,000. Last night they estimated there was 125,000 people there.
That feels about right. I saw pictures of folks, telling folks to park in their yards for the draft because, again, the stadium is in the middle of a neighborhood.
Right.
And people were saying, like, very similar to if they were parking over here on Bluff Road or something like that. Like, hey, come here, park for the draft. So, yeah, a good day for them.
Jen, you've never been to Green Bay? Have you ever been to Green Bay?
I have not been to Green Bay.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
I'm with Preston. If I'm ever going to go, it needs to be like in December for a game. I'm going to need snow. I need the full Green Bay experience. I don't want to come back and be like, yeah, it was warm there in September and it was beautiful and felt great. I want to come back and be like, no, man, I had to sit. Those bleachers are cold and there was lots of snow. So going there for the draft, I'm kind of with Preston last night. Might have been a cool experience. It wouldn't be on my bucket list of things to do.
Yeah, it probably would be cool to do at least once. And the fact that it's situated in a neighborhood, it reminds me very much of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That also is neighborhoods all around. So literally, that people make money that time of year because they're always parking in their yards during the month of May.
So we will get into a lot of that last night. Surprises, trades. Jacksonville kicks things off right off the bat by maybe doing both.
Did Sonny Weaver Jr. do it again, Bill? Huh?
Well, the Browns, did the Browns have a good draft?
The Browns made the big trade with Jacksonville. They the one who, some people might say they fleeced Jacksonville by being able to get a couple of first-round picks. They traded down, ended up getting their guy. Sonny Weaver Jr. strikes.
Possible, if you want to go with that. We'll look at this because, the Giants traded up at the end of the first round to take a quarterback. That was an interesting move. There was a lot of stuff that occurred last night. We'll get into the situation with Nick Eamon-Warry and Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if there was a point where you were like, uh-oh. Like 21 was Shedeur Sanders with the Steelers. And I feel like when the Giants traded up, I think it was 25, everybody was like, oh, okay, here we go. Oh, no, Jackson Dart. Oh, okay. And then I think it was about 27 with Eamon Warry and the Ravens when they went with Malachi Starks that you were like, well, I guess Eamon Warry's going to be waiting until day 2. Maybe a little bit of a surprise given all the mock drafts had him going in the first round.
To illustrate what that means as far as – because really the biggest difference is really just – and I can't say just, but the really difference is at the bank.
Yeah.
It's not that much of a football difference, but there are some significant differences.
All right, let's go through the draft just for another minute. We got a lot of analysis that we're going to get into on it. How did you like the production of it? There was a lot. It seemed to be a lot of stories. They would have an individual story. A lot of them seemed to be about the moms, talking about the moms, the relationship with players and moms. I know there was one in particular that caught my attention last night watching with the defensive tackle Derek Harmon that went to Pittsburgh actually at 21. I think that's when I'd flip back over. The relationship with his mom, who has some severe health issues right now. I believe it all started with a stroke on the left side of her body back when he was at Michigan State, I think is what I understood. And then he moved out to Oregon, transferred out to Oregon, and last night is drafted. But how did you like the production? Just talked about the Green Bay thing, but some of the videos. Oh, by the way, if I was watching the ABC version, which was Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, Desmond Howard, and Nick Saban.
Oh, that's interesting because I was watching the ESPN version. So
yeah, I guess that's a good.
So there's two different things, and I never even flipped over to the ABC, so I don't know what that looked like. Oh yeah, the production was cool. It was slick. It was fast paced. You don't have a lot of time, even though they have a significant amount of time in between the drafts. You don't feel like it because they're watching videos. They're doing analysis. You're seeing videos. You're watching the walk. You're seeing the dap, hug, handshake, whatever that is with Roger Goodell. I don't know how Roger Goodell has positioned himself as the good guy here. He is the bad guy. I don't know why he is the bad guy. Roger Goodell is the guy that when you get fined, his name is on that fine paper. It's coming. So you're dapping up with this guy right now, but in 10 weeks, when you don't wear your socks the right way, that fine is coming from that dude. So I don't know how he's positioned himself, but yeah, it was cool. It was a draft. They've done a great job of making what essentially is a bunch of transactions into a show. So they've done a really good job with that.
Nobody does a better job of promoting their brand. I mean, last night, Preston, perfect example. You're in the draft. You're starting the draft. What did they start promoting?
Schedule drop.
Schedule release, May 14th.
Mm-hmm.
May 14th. Make sure you're here for May 14th. So we'll talk a lot about the draft. But yeah, I was the times that I did watch last night, very, very entertaining, very interesting draft. Can't say that I was fully invested in it. I was obviously looking for Nick Emmanwori. And then as you got to about 17 or 18, the Shedeur Sanders drop really started to take attention. So we'll talk a lot about that this morning. Again, I mentioned playoffs last night, NBA playoffs. I'm guessing you were totally checked out. You were full 100% draft last night?
I was checking it in and out on the draft and seeing what on the playoffs and seeing what was happening. OKC, that's done. We don't need to play that fourth game. Let's just wrap it up. That's going to be a sweep. They won again last night. Here's something that is interesting. When I say the phrase old wily vets, I don't think of James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. But all of a sudden, here come the old wily vets, the Los Angeles Clippers with Zubac playing center, Ty Lue as the head coach, and I look on the bench, Jeff Van Gundy sitting on the bench as an assistant coach. What's going on here? I'll tell you what's going on. They might be about to slide the Nuggets up out of these playoffs, and I think this is going to get really interesting. Something to pay attention to. Knicks versus Pistons. Knicks got a tight win last night. That is a very good series to pay attention to. Good ball in that one.
NHL last night, Florida takes down Tampa Bay 2-0 in that series. Florida goes up 2-0. Fairly good game. I was a little more intrigued by that than I was by the playoffs early on. Quietly, even though I have zero reason to really pay attention because it's two Canadian teams and it's Toronto and Ottawa, and there is a limit to my NHL fandom. There is a limit on that. They're playing a really good series. Toronto has won all three games, but they have been competitive, fun, and Toronto won again in overtime last night, 3-2. I didn't watch it. I flipped over for a second, but it was a very limited second, to be honest. Then the late stuff that actually, because I was staying up, kept an eye on. I feel like an upset is brewing. Minnesota knocking off Vegas last night 2-1, or excuse me, 5-2 to take a 2-1 series lead in that one, and then St. Louis dominated Winnipeg 7-2 in that game. Didn't stay up. Didn't bother that one in Toronto, Ottawa. I had little to no interest in as they were down the list of things. Tonight we got some baseball for you. South Carolina and Kentucky. We'll get into that a little bit this morning. Again, all games, any game South Carolina plays in baseball is a monster game now moving forward as they try to defy the odds and get themselves to an NCAA regional. But we'll do a lot of draft talk this morning, including some of the crazy things from last night. Preston's got a Nick Eamon-Worry analysis. Yesterday, we hyped him up, talked all about him, and then these things happen. He slides right on out of the first round. He will be ready to go, I'm sure, bright and early tonight, 7 o'clock when the NFL draft cranks back up. We'll talk a little bit about that. Some trades that got going. Travis Hunter goes to Jacksonville. Cam Ward off to Tennessee. We got all kinds of stuff that occurred last night in the NFL draft, so we will get into all of that here. Preston Thornton ready for a draft breakdown. I am just ready to get some of my voice back. We'll do all of that this morning here. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder and First Palmetto Bank, where Jacob has been in business for over 20 years, helping his clients with all of their mortgage needs. And one of those clients was me just about 5 years ago. Jacob helped me through the process of purchasing my home on Lake Murray. And you know what? It was an easy, fantastic process. He found the right product for me, the right interest rate, the right down payment, and the right monthly mortgage payment that fits my budget needs. And he'll do the exact same thing for you. The first thing you got to do, though, give him a phone call. 803-719-1005. Again, that's 803-719-1005. You can reach out to Jacob Crowder today. Talk to him about what the interest rates are out there and maybe some of the different plans and products that could fit your needs. Maybe it fits your lifestyle and some of the things that you are able to qualify for. But to find out more, call the Mortgage Guru today. 803-719-1005. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
No accidents to report. Hopefully a smooth commute for you on this Friday morning. Mostly cloudy, 82 today, and maybe just a pop-up shower here or there. A few storms tomorrow, 85 for the high, and then some clouds and 77 for your Sunday. We get back into the 80s for next week. Right now, though, it's a little bit of a haze, a little bit of a fog. It's 65 on 107.5 The Game.
With the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cameron Ward, quarterback, Miami.
That was the call last night as Cam Ward makes his debut in Green Bay, but he'll make his debut in Tennessee. And Preston, a guy that I love your story about going to the library and checking your rankings when you were in high school. Cam Ward goes from being an unranked, no stars, high school product to an FCS school all the way to being the number one pick in the draft. And it goes to show you that, ranking, we're going to talk about slipping and sliding in mock drafts, but rankings don't always mean everything when it comes to high school recruits.
Yeah, well, it's really because we say that they don't mean everything when it talks about the person, but they kind of do mean a lot when you have to go to Incarnate Ward to start your season off. So it's like, yeah, they don't necessarily mean how good the person is going to be, but they do put a cap on where you end up. So it is really interesting. I think Cam Ward is a modern football marvel as far as the story is where he went, where he ended up. Transfer portal, Miami,
Washington State.
Why you got? There's a lot of layers to the Cam Ward story that I think is really, really, really interesting.
My question to you, I don't know how much you really watched him this year, is what you think he'll be in the NFL.
I don't know. He has a very improvisational style of play. He does a lot of unconventional things in the pocket, which look cute in college, at Incarnate Ward, in Washington State, and even in the ACC. I don't know. I think he has a lot of talent. We'll see. Tennessee is going to keep doing this until they get this right, I guess, right? Malik Murphy. No. Will Levis. No. Cam Ward. They're just going to keep going and going and going until they get it right. And I don't know if I blame them as far as that strategy is concerned, because you are dead in the water in the NFL if you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, so they'll put it all on Cam Ward and what he will do. That was the number one pick last night. Number two in the pick, by the way, on ESPN, the pro comp, I don't know, tell me if this is good or bad. The pro comp, Jordan Love.
That's great.
Okay, you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Have you seen the Packers play?
My number one, normally I'd be like, that's fine. My number one pick, I'd probably prefer not to be compared to Jordan Love. Now, I don't mind if it's maybe further down the draft, like in 10 to 20, or if I'm picking like if Jackson Dart, who gets picked at 25, his pro comp was Jordan Love, I'd be like, okay, good, that's fine. My number one pick, I don't want compared to Jordan Love.
That's interesting.
It's different on where he's selected at if Jordan Love. But that was Matt Miller on ESPN's pro comparison there for Cam Ward. Number two, and this is where the fireworks go off. Maybe you think Sonny Weaver Jr. made some phone calls last night.
Sonny Weaver Jr. did it again. The Browns trade their number 2 pick to the Jaguars in exchange for the number 5 2026 pick. So they get to move back, get their pick, and they drafted another. And if you've been watching Draft Day, if you pay attention, remember when Sonny Weaver Jr. called the Jaguars, if you remember, it was a very young, wet behind the ears GM.
Okay.
And I don't know if art imitates life or life imitates art. Well, guess what? The GM from the Jaguars, 34 years old. I want you to pull a picture up of him and just figure out how old you actually think he is. I'll say this: you probably card him at the local convenience store. So Sonny Weaver Jr. calls
James Gladstone,
Charles
34,
Glenn,
youngest general manager in the NFL, was
calls
hired.
him up, and he puts a little pressure on him, and he makes a deal. Jen, can we get clip number 2 here with Travis Hunter being drafted?
We have a trade. The Cleveland Browns have traded the second pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And with the second pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Travis Hunter, wide receiver, defensive back from Colorado.
That was the second pick, obviously, there, and now comes the question of what exactly they plan to do with him.
Was it a clue that they called him a wide receiver defensive back and not a defensive back wide receiver? Was that a clue?
That's a good question. I don't know. I didn't read that much into it.
I don't know. Bill, this is what the draft is about reading into things. This is all about conjecture and figuring things out. What did they draft him for? How much is he going to play? Is he going to play wide receiver? Jenna, it looks like you've seen a picture of our guy, James Gladstone.
Oh, listen.
Yeah, I'm like,
how old is he?
Look, I'll just say
25.
that. I'll just say this. Austin, my son, is 13. Okay, Austin, my son, is 13. My son has a better mustache than this guy does.
And you know, you look at him and it's like, I think the reason he got the gig is because he's probably been playing Madden, NFL, whatever. Like,
I'm looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars team website. I don't know if you're looking at it. I'm reading his biography. I was reading his biography. I don't know where this is in jumps, but he went from director of scouting and director of scouting strategy to a GM. I feel like he missed some steps getting to the top.
You know, the whole video game thing, there's a lot of reality to some of that. I mean, you've got William Byron, who drives a Cup car in NASCAR, and he started out on iRacing. So, you know, I'm wondering if we'll see a progression of that at some point, like all of this building teams.
Usually when you see a big jump in that resume right there, you can just scratch below the surface and you might find his uncle or his dad, or you might find some nepotism somewhere. And I haven't done it, but that
kind of reminds me of Justin Timberlake a little bit.
Okay.
Years ago, because Justin Timberlake,
yeah, he's looking older now.
A little bit more grizzled now. Anyway, Sonny Weaver Jr. fleeced him.
Gladstone gets a lot of credit for building and building the roster that won the Rams the Super Bowl in 2021. So we'll see how that plays out. So that was the number 2 pick. No surprise there. Travis Hunter goes there, and we'll see what happens. And then that brings us to kind of where the draft, to me, I don't want to say stalled out a little bit, but you kind of knew what was going to happen. Abdul Carter goes 3, and then you get
great fit, Abdul. Great fit.
You like that with the Giants?
Yeah. Great. No, I'm talking about clothes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I got you. Will Campbell goes 4. Mason Graham goes 5. Ashton Jenney kind of stole the show last night, number 6 with the Raiders.
Are you referring to his diamond encrusted Crocs?
Just everything he did, from social media to clothing to just I saw pictures of him late in the night after he had apparently done the rounds, celebrating with friends. He had a big night.
Had a good night. Yeah, he had a good night. Yeah, it went sort of chalk after that, at least through maybe the top 7 or 8. But yeah, it did get interesting.
A couple others that stood out. The Panthers take the wide receiver out of Arizona to bolster theirs. We thought yesterday that mock draft had them taking an offensive lineman to protect Bryce Young. Instead, they're going to take a guy that hopefully he can get the ball to.
Yeah, I think this was an interesting pick. I didn't pay that much attention to Arizona when he was playing. I did watch his clips last night. They kept saying that he struggles to separate from defensive backs, and I do think that is a potential red flag. But maybe they see him as a possession guy or something like that, bolstering up to join Xavier Legette and maybe trying to make a wide receiving core for them.
I did see Xavier Legette put out on Twitter kind of a let's go. He seemed happy to find a guy that.
Yeah.
But Xavier, you also kind of like they just took another dude in the top 10. This is what you talked about.
Well, yeah, that's the difference in wide receivers. Like they know there's another one of them. Again, I'll tell you this. Spencer Rattler was not watching them, and if the Saints took a quarterback, he was not going to tweet "Let's go."
It's kind of like when Aaron Rodgers said he was watching the draft and saw that they took Jordan Love and had to walk. Thought he was going to get himself a playmate, a toy, a wide receiver to throw to, and instead they took a quarterback and said to just go fix 3 fingers of tequila and just sit down for a minute. And
things change.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in if you want to do so. Again, a lot from last night. We'll continue on with the draft. Also, we had some transfer portal news yesterday, Preston Thorne.
The portal opened up. And I can't say that I'm surprised. And I think there's a lot of reasons why.
We'll explain to you. South Carolina loses a quarterback out of the quarterback room. We'll get into that a little bit this morning. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It is the early game.
It's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. The kitchen that we had to demolish and kind of start from scratch, we were sent to CHW Cabinetry to find new cabinets for that kitchen. And I'm telling you, what a great experience it was. They helped us figure it all out when I was certainly less than pleasant, I'm sure, to work with. But then once we got everything picked out, the photorealistic rendering of our finished kitchen helped us put everything else together and just made the process so much better. But I've talked about how you don't have to do all that to fix up your kitchen. There are extra things that you can add. There are drawers you can put in pantries just to make things a little bit more functional. We replaced a couple of bathroom cabinets. Great experience with them as well. If you're trying to create a home office workspace, get some cabinetry for that. You can visit chwcabinetry.com. Call them today at 803-520-6837 and tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. Looking pretty clear. No reports to speak of at this point. No accidents to make mention of. And forecast-wise, mostly cloudy today. Could see a stray shower or thunderstorm, but definitely not a day full of rain. So we'll take that. 82 for the high. 85 tomorrow. A couple pop-up showers could happen. And Sunday, partly cloudy, 77 for the high. Get back into the 80s for next week. 65 currently on 107.5 The Game.
Coming up May 9th and 10th. You have watched football at Williams-Brice Stadium. Now you got a chance to play golf inside of it. The Upper Deck Golf Tour coming to Williams-Brice Stadium May 9th and 10th, and you can have a chance at a VIP 4-pack. All you need to do is go to 1075thegame.com's Facebook page, or excuse me, go to 1075 The Game's Facebook page. So go to facebook.com and go to 1075 The Game and upload a picture of you at a game inside of Williams-Brice Stadium. We'll notify the winners on Tuesday, May the 6th. But if you want a chance to win a VIP 4-pack of tickets to go to the Upper Deck Golf Tour coming to Columbia May 9th and 10th, all you need to do is go to the Facebook page for 1075 The Game and upload a picture of you at a game inside of Williams-Brice Stadium, and we'll notify you of being a winner on Tuesday, May the 6th. That is the Upper Deck Golf Tour. You done that before? Did you participate in that? I think does it come twice, I believe? I know it's come once. I've been there.
Have not.
It was a lot of fun. So a lot of fun. So if you want to go and be a part of that, go to our Facebook page, 1075 The Game's Facebook page, upload a picture of yourself. 803-404-6100 if you want to text in this morning. Get to a few of these real quick. Chris, our Miami fan, says Cam Ward became the third Miami Hurricane to be selected first overall in the draft. Who were the other two? He says, hint, it was a quarterback and a defensive tackle. I have off the top of my head, I have no idea.
Russell Maryland.
Seems like a good pick.
As a defensive tackle. Quarterback. Jim Kelly. That's with the question mark at the end, but I don't know.
Give me 2 seconds, and I will have this right here for you, or I'll check it. I'll get to the bottom of that, and we'll come back to that. Unfortunately, I'm cheating. Preston actually made his selections, but I'm cheating and looking up. Oh, here we go. Vinny Testaverde in 1987, and Russell Maryland.
Ooh, okay.
Very good.
Give me my D tackles. I know my D tackles.
1991. There you go from Chris. 803-404.
Good job. Appreciate you listening, Chris.
Yep. Transfer portal yesterday, and this is interesting on both sides. Preston Thorne, South Carolina. Let's start with what they lose. Dante Reno goes to the transfer portal, and we talked about this with quarterback room depth and knowing everything. You could kind of sense that was what was coming. Somebody was going to leave that room. It was crowded, and it's crowded with young guys. Dante Reno was a redshirt freshman. Aaron Noland is a redshirt freshman. Cutter Woods is a true freshman, and then you've got AARP member Luke Doty, who's around, and then you got Lenora Sellers, who's the leader of that group. But you looked at those three guys, and you said, somebody's going to look around and be like, I'm not like y'all.
Yeah, and this is why I keep saying, I don't want to hear the coaches say, oh, we're just bringing in depth pieces and competition is the greatest thing. Because, no, you're bringing in somebody on a spot that I presumably thought was going to be something that I was going to work with. I'm saying I as if I was one of those quarterbacks. Right. Yeah, so it's a really difficult spot. And I'm sure when Dante looked around and said, Aaron Noland, that's interesting. Okay, I'll just put my head down and keep competing. Luke Doty's coming from wide receiver now to take snaps. This is interesting. And you start saying, I don't know how I fit in here.
What's the word when Luke Doty walks into the quarterback meeting room in like January or February? You're like, Luke.
Yeah, you're like, what's up, Luke? What's going on? what are you doing in here? And you start
All
wondering.
of a sudden, there was only 4 chairs for 5 people, and you're like, oh, we got to go down the hall and steal one from the defensive line room.
Exactly what it is. And so you start looking around, you're saying one of these things doesn't fit, and it might be me. And that's sort of how this plays out.
How does it work? Because also a part of this is, I feel like, and you have eyes. You talked about being a player, and you can look around not only at, hey, he's going out with that group, but when you see a guy and you're like Cutter Woods has drawn a lot of praise this spring.
The ball comes out of his hand different.
Yeah, a lot of praise, and you know, he had the really nice one long pass 51-yarder there to Vandrevius Jacobs. But when a player's a player, you look and you're like, oh, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be beating that dude out.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's also the underlying politics of he's an in-state guy. Oh, he's an in-state guy. I'm from all the way up here. I don't necessarily have any actual ties to this place, and those dynamics start to play a part. Who are they realistically going to invest in? The kid that's from right around the corner, the kid that's from in-state, or me, a foreigner from another land who doesn't have any actual ties to this community? All of those things, you start to look around and start saying, oh, this guy's a sixth-year guy who's a fan favorite. This guy who just won a state championship. And then there's little old me right here in the middle. That's a tough spot to be in. And you can, and especially when you start looking around and saying, and the ball comes out of his hand a little bit different.
What, do you say that? Does Dante Reno say
He
that?
might. We throw together every day. Ball comes out of his head different. I don't know. You might say it to yourself.
So Reno will transfer. We'll see where he ends up, and this is part of the air. Look, if Lenora Sellers stays, it's likely that you see Cutter Woods and Aaron Nolan next year looking at each other in that quarterback room, going, "One of us ain't going to be here at the end of spring." I mean, that's just the way it kind of operates now.
Except Lenora Sellers isn't staying.
You don't think he is?
Lenora Sellers will be the first pick in next year's NFL draft.
That's what fully. I mean, I think last night they actually went ahead and tonight they actually introduced him. I think he's actually the first pick in tonight's draft, but it's not for till next year.
Is there a quarterback that you saw get up? Is Jackson Dart better than Lenora Sellers?
We're going to come back to that. That was interesting, and also it's interesting.
Is Cam Ward better than Lenora Sellers? Up for debate.
Okay.
Why wouldn't he be the first pick?
Okay.
Very interesting.
All right.
Also, this, Bill, I'm going to make this proclamation.
I have the floor.
I don't want to hear about a recruit being the spokesperson for the class anymore. I'm tired of it.
Okay.
I'm done with it. Dante Reno was the spokesperson for the class, and then all the articles about, he's gathering guys up. And
he's gathering guys.
Pup Howard, he was the spokesperson for the class, and he's coming in and he's telling, I don't want to hear it anymore. It goes back to the story about my mother when she saw a certain guy in the stands with being recruited, and he was telling everybody about how we're going to be the ones that bring everybody together, and we're going to be the class that changes things. And my mother looked at us and simply said, that boy is not going to make it. And he didn't make it. And all I'm telling you is...
But hold on, finish that story, because it's not that he didn't make it like a year.
He didn't make it into the second week of 2 days. He didn't make it. Matter of fact, we woke up one morning and he was no longer with us. I don't know if he deceased. I don't know if he drove off a cliff. I don't know what happened. He was gone. Right? You can Google and find out whatever his name. Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know if it exists in that class. Point is, I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear this guy's the recruiting. He's been bringing everybody together.
If you hear that, you don't want him to play. You want him to be in the office. You're going to put him in the office next to Darren Usher is like, oh, he's...
It's a red flag.
Okay.
It's a red flag. If you're the guy that's bringing everybody together, it's a red flag. I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm done with it. Dante Reno, Pup Howard. It goes on, and I feel like this cases go on and on again. You hear about this guy, oh, he's going to be the one that's bringing he's doing most of the recruiting for the class. He's calling everybody up. I'm done with it.
Also, yesterday, an offensive lineman entered the transfer portal, and that sounded like a depth chart thing.
The beauty of this was that the headline on Gamecock Central said, check his birth certificate. 7th-year offensive lineman. I don't know what the market is for a 7th-year offensive lineman, but I don't know. I don't know what the market is.
He's almost old enough to be the GM of the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Ja'Kai Moore enters the transfer portal, a guy that was a starter 2 years ago, a guy that unfortunately suffered a shoulder injury last year, got a medical red shirt. I think he did that thing again that Cam Pringle did that Shane Beamer said don't do, where he looked around the room and was like, those guys look like the starters, and they're together. That 1, 2, 3, 4, that second group, okay. A lot of thirds here. and said, I'm going to enter the transfer portal.
Yeah, when as a 7th-year guy, when the coach is telling like the young guys like, go work with Jakai. He knows what to do. he knows all the drills. He's been here long enough. Jakai, show him what they need to do. Find yourself showing what they need to. You like the coach player or something like that? No, I just don't know what the market is for a 7th-year dude. I don't know. This is the new world we're in.
Well, it'll be interesting to go back to this. You mentioned the market for a 7th-year guy for a market for a first-year redshirt freshman, Cam Pringle. Visits set up yesterday coming out with Syracuse now. Go visit with Fran Brown up at Syracuse, and also with Miami. So Cam Pringle listed as the #1 offensive tackle in the transfer portal. Jakai Moore not going to get that. South Carolina did line up some official visits with offensive linemen yesterday. Will Osteen from Jacksonville State. That's right. He could go from Gamecock to Gamecock. A lot of people that think he might follow Rich Rodriguez to West Virginia, but the Gamecocks line up a visit with him. And Nolan Hay, a 6'4", 300-pound tackle from Incarnate Word.
Okay.
Looking to transfer. He's got visits lined up with South Carolina, Washington State, and Colorado. So the Gamecocks lose 2 offensive linemen. Jakai Moore and Cam Pringle have already lined up 2 official visits with offensive linemen for next week.
I had never heard of Incarnate Word until Ricky Williams was coaching running backs down there. And now I feel like I'm hearing this a lot. This is interesting.
803-404-6100. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1 here. As a lot to get to. Preston's got a question for you as we do. We'll let him get to it. You're listening to the early game.
Preston here for Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been family-owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. It's helped everyone from weekend warriors to professional landscapers, and that's for over 40 years. Third-generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop values that you love. Ben is determined to raise the standard of sales, service, and retail. At Cato's, they are proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, the friendly team is there to make the process easy, help you choose the right equipment, and find financing options. They want to keep your gear running strong with expert service and parts. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today. They'll help you power up your next project. Call them at 803-254-3711. That's Cato's Power Equipment at 803-254-3711.
6:49 on a Friday morning as we get you up and get you into the weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend. More NFL draft tonight. We've got South Carolina baseball, a very big game for them. We'll tell you more about that later. Softball, another big series for them, Preston Thorne, as they start to wrap up their regular season. 2 series left. We'll talk about that in our Gamecock whip around later on this morning, but a lot going on. Playoffs. And before we get to Preston's questions, Mike weighs in for Lexington, says this should be the segment, Preston's questions. But before we get to Preston's questions, please do not keep us waiting for a Birmingham Stallions update this weekend.
Hold on a second. I was working on the questions. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. We will be back with the Birmingham Stallions update because it's a big week, like all weeks are big weeks for the 3-time defending UFL champions.
Do not want to leave the Stallions out of our Friday morning conversation.
I appreciate that.
We would not feel we did a quality program when we leave if we did not have a Stallions
Matt
update.
Corral's hurt.
Oh, dear.
Don't matter. We'll rally on.
Oh, dear. All right, we'll come back to the Stallions. We'll come back. Set that there on your thing unless you're ready. But you've got questions you want to ask.
When's the last time you got dressed up? 803-404-6100. I'm talking about dressed up. I'm talking about dressed. Like, because we're in the season. You watching the draft. We saw the WNBA draft. We saw the women getting dolled up for the WNBA draft. We saw the fellas getting dressed up. Here, it's prom season. 803-404-6100. When's the last time you got dressed up? I'm talking dressed up. I'm talking about nice clothes. I'm talking about dress. Like, we did this for a ball or a gala or something like that.
This morning.
Thank you for that, too. 2 of them stand out.
Okay.
The leukemia, I'm trying to think. I'd have to go through my phone and look at the exact date. The leukemia ball that was the night of the Final Four. The night of the Final Four when Florida Atlantic. Was that 2 years ago?
Okay.
It was April. But we did go to a wedding. I think we went to a wedding the following August for a buddy of mine, for a college roommate.
But were you really dressed up, or was that more of kind of a
no?
casual?
Like he was adamant that we like.
Oh, that was the black tie.
Yeah,
that was the one.
that, that was the one that I actually had to get the kids.
The kids had to be
be dressed up.
That's what. Yep.
Yeah,
now we're talking.
That was so. I would say to Preston's, it would probably be the leukemia ball. I think that was Final Four of 2023. Again, I know because I remember standing upstairs watching it. I can't even remember. It's right down here, not too far from where we're at. But I remember standing upstairs watching Florida Atlantic and the Final Four. That would probably be what the answer I would go for with you. But that wedding was after that, and we had to be a little more. That wasn't just like show up in your suit and your tie and comb your hair. That had to be. That was a little bit like we got some expensive ties for that one, and
that's what I'm talking about. And that's the beauty of this season, especially during prom. You get to see all the high schoolers dressed up. The girls get dolled up, the guys get handsome haircuts, and you start to, you see their eyes for the first time because they've had their hair covered in their eyes and you see the draft, and the draft was interesting because there were some interesting fits chosen yesterday during the draft. For my money, the best dressed fella in the draft yesterday was Louisiana State's Will Campbell. He had on a green, double-breasted chalk stripe suit. Chalk stripe, not pinstripes. Very, very distinct difference. Pinstripes are thin, chalk stripes are wide. Double-breasted chalk stripe suit, immaculately tailored, clean, understated. It was doing something. Nice white collar, Rolex on the wrist. It was a good look. Some of the other looks were choices. A lot of folks made choices. You talked about Ashton Genty with the diamond-studded Crocs.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. Look, they're neat. Don't get me wrong.
It's cool, I guess. He made a choice. There were some other choices that were being made.
I think sometimes they do this because they're anticipating, hey, I might be able to get some type of an endorsement deal.
See, and that would be fine, except for the case that Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, he wore a suit. And he wore the suit from Abercrombie & Fitch. And I'm like, dude, if you're going to go for a brand, let's do something here. You don't need to go for a mall brand.
I didn't see this last night. You watched the so I'm looking. Yahoo Sports has the article up, best and worst dressed, and it says worst dressed. Adam Schefter catching some strays here.
Man, Adam Schefter
I didn't
was
see
horrendous. This dude had on a suit with a tie and a randomly
like what I'm wearing. What I'm wearing,
hoodie.
Almost what I'm wearing right now.
A randomly placed hoodie underneath his suit blazer tie combo. It was terrible. Schefter, you need to get yourself together. Last person, Armand Mimbo.
Yeah.
He was at home watching it, had a polo tucked in. That man means business.
Okay.
Lock him in, future Hall of Famer. And his parents from Cameroon wearing traditional Cameroonian garb. They're not playing no games. That guy is going all the way. Great pick, New York Jets.
We will come back on this Yahoo Sports article. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions, where now is the time. Today is the day. You need to be getting your pool maintained regularly. And quite frankly, you should have been calling Corley Pool Solutions when I told you about them back in March. But now is the day. You need to be calling and lining up your summer pool maintenance that starts immediately. 803-445-8109. At Corley Pool Solutions, they believe in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. So if you live around the Lake Murray area, Chapin, Lexington, all these great places, and you got a pool, it's time for you to call the absolute best in the business. With over 20 years of experience, it is more affordable for you to contact Tracy Corley and use his team than it is for you to try and maintain the pool yourself. Plus, you've got somebody who's a professional, and it'll save you time and effort. Trust me on that. Call Corley Pool Solutions today, 803-445-8109.
I want to let you know about an accident I-77 northbound at exit 6 and an object in the roadway at Old Orangeburg Road near Old Barnwell Road. So kind of a community and YMCA road. In that vicinity, there's an object in the roadway that might be impacting you just a little bit. Weather-wise, we're looking pretty nice. 82 for the high today. Could see just a pop-up storm, but it's not completely expected. 85 tomorrow, just a couple pop-up storms possible again. 77 with some clouds on Sunday. But right now, kind of holding steady 65 and overcast on 107.5 The Game.
Up and at 'em on a Friday morning, the final Friday of April. That's right. Can you believe it? This time next week, we will be full on into May, getting the month of May going. Kentucky Derby weekend next weekend.
That's the time when people get dressed up.
Somebody hit us up. That's why I brought it up. Let me go back to the text message. John from Lexington said the Kentucky Derby.
Nice.
Last time he got dressed up.
Nice.
A couple other people weighing in. Texter says my wedding in 1999. This is Clint. This is our Peep guy.
Clint, what's up?
Clint said wedding in 1999. I rented a tuxedo. Spared no expense.
There you go. There you go.
Another texter weighs in a few weeks ago after my tailored suit landed for my upcoming wedding in June. Got to admit, I look sharp.
Man, listen.
This is Grizz thing, and it better have because it cost me a small fortune.
Easy cheat code, man. Every man within the sound of my voice needs to have a nice suit. Needs to have a nice suit, preferably one that you got made for you. It's going to cost. It is going to cost, but it is worth it.
803-404-6100. I did not stay up as late, but Kentucky Joe says Maxwell Harrison won the suit game. Google his suit. His entire family, including the dog, was in it. Yeah, I saw again. I go back this Yahoo article that I've got here coming out late last night. Fans sound off on the best and worst dressed on red carpet at the NFL draft in Green Bay. Lists Jihad Campbell, the linebacker from Alabama, as best dressed. Shamar Stewart. Is it Shmir or Shmar? Shamar Stewart, the Texas A&M defensive end.
Yeah, he had a double-breasted shiny suit on. It was very tailored. Not for me, but if you have a body like that, you might want to do that.
So it says he appeared on the red carpet in an emerald suit by Saint Armor Collections.
Okay.
Many guessed that the outfit choice hinted at a potential Green Bay future for the 21-year-old.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to make that type of bet. You know what I'm saying?
He had a big chain on, too. I'm looking at his picture.
I don't know if you want to make that. It was very, very tailored. It was double-breasted, very tailored. Again, if you built like that, you can make those choices.
Okay. All right. And then, as we mentioned, it also, by the way, mentioned Alabama. Quarterback Jalen Milroe wore a custom chrome hearts suit for his 2025 NFL Draft red carpet moment.
Yeah, the thing about that is it's like, man, this is your moment. I don't know if you really want to be advertising somebody else that being that showy about wearing that brand label. Yeah, it was cool. I get it. It's one of the in brand right now in the high fashion deal, but wouldn't have been my pick. And
then under the worst dressed, it had Ashton Genty's diamond sparkle, diamond encrusted Crocs, which I'm with you, Ed. That's a cool thing to have, right? But not to wear to this. I mean, look, I wouldn't
do what you will, though.
Personally, I wouldn't. Like, if I had them, they'd be in a case somewhere. They would never be worn. But it appears who the worst dressed last night in a landslide, Adam Schefter.
Yeah, I don't know whether his wardrobe, his consultant, his significant other. There's several layers of checkpoints that should have got him before he wore that on TV. It's absolutely atrocious. It's terrible. Very bad pick. Matter of fact, you probably shouldn't even listen to anything he has to say about transactions now because of that suit.
Okay. Your boy, Will Campbell, showing up on the worst dressed list.
Nah. They don't have no flavor. That green chalk stripe double-breasted on that big man looked good.
Looking at a couple different pictures of him right here, just from the red carpet.
They got no sauce with them.
So that was a little bit of last night. Preston has now asked you, as part of Preston's questions, when was the last time you got dressed up? I think I officially go with 2023, going to the Leukemia Gala, the Leukemia Ball that was held here in Columbia. And that was, now in defense, that was also a kind of a themed dressed up. It was like a 1920s gangster style dress up. So it wasn't just, but we did look. Lauren and I looked very good on that particular night. So that was a very good look on that particular night. Anyway, 803-40.
Also, while we're here, I don't know if we'll get back here. Adults, stop with the shoes, with the sneakers, with the suits.
Oh,
adults, stop it.
I'm glad you're weighing in on this.
Kids are fine. Adults, let's stop that.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we're here on that.
So you can't do that even with like the geese, like the golden goose.
Nah. No.
Gold ball stars.
No.
And all, yeah.
I
fancy shoes.
They're fancy. They cost a lot. I get it. Let's not do it.
Yeah, we're talking tennis shoes that look dirty.
Yeah,
they're made to look dirty. They have like Swarovski crystals on them. They're you probably can't get into a pair under $600
for sure. About $600 is your starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would look at them and say, I know those are expensive. I understand what you're saying here. Put on a pair of shoes.
Put a pin on that for the summer, or at least for probably what's likely going to be a mid-May situation. But I want to come back to this because I feel like you need to educate. That might be a segment one time on drip swag with Preston Thorne on what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Well, yeah, there's various rules, right? Because the rules that adults should play by are different than these are kids. These are 20 years. They can do essentially whatever they want, but the adults can't do what the kids do, and we try to do that a lot. And it's a bad look.
It brings me back to the commercial with Carmelo Anthony and Kendrick Perkins, and he said the box look from his draft night.
Again, we're all products of our time. Listen, if you was wearing a certain suit, or if you wore 6 buttons on your suit in 2003, that's not your fault. But what I'm saying is, now that we're here, let's not do that anymore. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in if you want to do so this morning. Again, baseball tonight. We'll get more into that coming up in the next hour. 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch. Gamecocks travel to Kentucky. Preston, South Carolina look, it's just there's no other way around it. We can sit here and goof and joke and say biggest series, biggest game. They're all the biggest. You got to get to, they now still have to get to 9 minimum. Absolute bare minimum, 9 conference victories to get to 13-17. That would put them at 9-3. They'd have to go 9-3 down these next 12. According to the math that this back of the table, back of the napkin math that we did, the Kentucky, they have to sweep one of these series. Correct.
4 series left, yeah, because obviously if you go 2-1 in each one, that's 8-4.
They need to sweep one. Well, I'll say this is the one that they need to sweep. The most likely one, I would think.
No, I'd go Florida. Kentucky's better than Florida. Okay. Kentucky's better than Florida. Kentucky is even coming off of that series victory over Tennessee.
All right, so they need to take care of business here and get 2 out of 3.
Florida, you get here in Columbia. Florida's scuffling very badly. Need to win that. So we'll talk more about that. But again, that's a reminder coming up tonight right here on 107.5 The Game. 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch. Gamecocks in Kentucky. Also tomorrow, 4:15 pregame, 4:30 first pitch. Again, you can hear it right here on 107.5thegame.com. Last night, I was a little bit more invested in the NHL playoffs than I was in the draft. Florida knocks off Tampa Bay. It's been a good opener. I'll ask Preston in just a second. I'd give the opening round of the NHL playoffs so far as we're roughly about halfway through. Maybe tonight and tomorrow is about the halfway point of what's going to be the first round. Solid B and maybe even a B+. It's been a very solid start. How would you rate the NBA for what you've seen so far? And their opening we're about the same way. They're about halfway.
A C. C, because there's been obviously some couple duds, some blowouts, and there haven't been some games that weren't quite as competitive early, but there are some storylines that are emerging that are setting up for some nice things to happen.
So we had that from all last night. Now back to the NFL draft, and Cam Ward, a modern college football marvel, Preston Thorne, as he goes from unknown at Incarnate Word. And I feel like we should throw a poll out there. Do you know where Incarnate Word is?
I would have never. Yeah. That's one of those teams that pops up during the NCAA tournament, and you're like, oh, they play sports? Only reason I knew of them was because at one point Ricky Williams was a running back coach down there, and it was strange. It was like, what? I believe it's a. Anyway, yeah, Cam Ward is essentially what happens, why we have the transfer portal, why the transfer portal works for a lot of athletes. There was an alternative future where Cam Ward, being super successful, just winds up spending his whole life playing at Incarnate Ward. And he doesn't end up going anywhere else. He plays there for the rest of his life. And there's stories told about this one kid that was at this small school in San Antonio. And boy, he could have been in the NFL, but nobody ever seen him play. And so the Cam Ward story is very interesting from a lot of aspects, whether you're talking about his high school recruitment, the way she was underutilized. He played in the wishbone, so he didn't throw the ball 3 or 4 times a game. That's how he got to Incarnate Ward. He got to Incarnate Ward. His coach leaves. He ends up following him. His coach leaves again. He ends up going to another place. Cam Ward is a modern story and a positive idea of what could happen when an athlete is allowed to maximize their talents in the transfer portal instead of being artificially held down by the rules of the NCAA. I'm not sure if he gets here if that path for him doesn't exist.
It is interesting. He was obviously at Washington State, went into the transfer portal last year. Big, probably, bidding war for him in terms of NIL. Miami wins out. He goes there, has a very good year, but really got to showcase.
He's a great year.
Got to showcase really his ability and what he could do on the big stage. And now he goes to the Tennessee Titans, and I'll be fascinated to see kind of how what I'll be most fascinated is how quickly they throw him into the fire. That's the
Will Levis was watching very closely. we doing what?
Yeah, I think he's been doing that for the last couple of weeks. He's Bo Callahan wandering around. Not Bo Callahan. He was
Brian Drew.
Brian, was it Drew? Yeah, Brian Drew. Whatever. But yeah, he was wandering around the like wandering up closely to offices that might have doors closed, listening in, see if he could hear conversations.
Yeah, I think they're going to do this very quickly. I don't think it's good. Yeah, I mean, they did it with Will Levis when they got Malik Murphy out of there.
That was Malik. Malik Murphy is now at.
Not Malik Murphy. Where is he now?
Malik Murphy just left Duke. Now I got to go back and see where Malik Murphy.
I said that twice, and that's my fault. The kid from Liberty. Anyway, I'll get his name. Point being, he's not there anymore.
Malik Willis,
my bad. Malik Willis is not there anymore.
Now you got me wondering where Malik Murphy has gone and ended up.
Will Levis.
He's at Oregon State. I feel like he transferred down if he left Duke and he ended up at Oregon State.
Will Levis has done, basically he's been Will Levis his whole career, and they expected him to be something different when he got to Nashville. He wasn't. I think this is going to happen pretty quickly.
We'll talk more about it. We'll get more into draft, but up next, it is our high school highlights of the week. A whole bunch of stuff going on. Chris Deering set to join us, and man, I tell you what, talking about abolishing the South Carolina High School League and having the governing body be the state legislature might be a topic for another day, but it's something we at least might have to get a quick thought on from Chris Deering and Preston Thorne this morning as we get you set for some high school highlights. Playoffs in full effect. Talk about prom. It's officially playoff season in the high school ranks.
Good time of year.
So 803-404-6100 if you want to text in. You're listening to the early game. It is Meat Friday. Well, okay, actually, it's going to be a little bit of a delayed birthday weekend at the Gunner household. After Easter weekend last weekend, we're celebrating Austin's birthday this weekend, and I know exactly what he wants and where I got to go to get it taken care of. Old Timey Meat Market. He's going to want one of their bacon-wrapped fillets, and you can go do the exact same because at Old Timey Meat Market and their 3 locations, they are ready to help you this weekend. Pick out the right steak, maybe the right cut of pork, maybe the chicken, maybe you want some great seafood. I know Ansley's going to want some salmon coming up maybe later on this weekend. Whatever it is, Old Timey Meat Market has you taken care of. And the reason is they want to get to know you. They want to get to know your family. They want to know what you like, what your kids like. They want to be able to talk to you when you come in the store. It is a non-grocery store meat buying experience. So visit one of their 3 locations. St. Andrews Road in Irmo, the Lexington store, where you'll find me, or South Congaree. Stop by Old Timey Meat Market today. Pick out that great meal and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
I-77 northbound at Shop Road. We have an accident there. Be careful. Other than that, we're not really seeing any major slowdowns, so hopefully it's a good Friday morning for you. And 82 is what we're going to be looking for as far as your high today. Could see a pop-up shower or storm. Possible pop-up shower or storm again tomorrow. 85 for the high. 77 on Sunday with some partly cloudy conditions. 65 right now. It's actually a little bit of mist out there in a couple spots in the Midlands. But 65 without that right now on 107.5 The Game.
7:19 on a Friday morning. Get up and jump around here. The weekend is nearly upon us. Just get through a few hours today and try and survive some of these little pop-up storms that Jen was just talking about, and we will roll on into the weekend. Final Friday of the month of April, and also closing in on more state championships to give out. Joining us now to discuss some of the playoffs is the one and only Chris Deering. Mr. Deering, welcome in for the high school highlights of the week. How have you been?
Good morning, sir. I've been wonderful, and yes, we're closing up regular season on a lot of sports. We got lacrosse playoffs already started. We'll start crowning state champions next weekend. So exciting time over the next probably 5 to 6 weeks with a lot of state champions being crowned in various sports across the spring season.
Yeah, they not only we say wrapping up, but I mean this is the wrapping up of the entire high school calendar season here. Preston, I know ADs around the state are getting happier to see these days with track and field and lacrosse and soccer and baseball and softball having to be at the school every night to about 9:30. So probably happier.
Yeah, I've said it before. The spring for AD is a very difficult time. So shout out to them and their families because they're not spending a lot of time with their families right now. So yes, some folks are a lot happier to be wrapping at least a few things up.
Chris, no, I didn't catch you. We didn't get to catch you last week. So real quick, let's go back and revisit the Forest Acres Classic that took place over spring break. Kind of give us a little rundown of some baseball here in the Midlands and one of the better tournaments, not just in the state, but in the Southeast.
Yeah, that spring break tournament, it comes late in the season. Gives the teams a chance to see different people than they normally see during, region play. And it was a really good tournament over at AC Flora. Like I said, not this past week, but the week before. The Miller School out of Virginia, coached by Hall of Fame pitcher Billy Wagner, came down. They come down for this tournament just about every single year. They won it over AC Flora 6-5 in the championship game. That was again really good tournament. That Miller School had a lot of D1 kids across the board. They had a Tennessee commit that was really good. I actually saw him hit a home run in the championship game. That when it left Falcon Field, it got to the light pole in left center field, and it was about halfway up the light pole when it went out.
I will tell you this. I spoke to somebody, I don't know the kid's name. He's a first baseman. They said he's about 6'4", 225. They have not seen many, this first baseman for the Miller School, have not. Preston, he was a little bit different built than you might have been built back at Somerville. They said this young man is a monster, and he's going to Tennessee.
Nice.
Go ahead, Chris. Yeah,
he looks the part, most definitely. And like I said, that home run is one of the longer ones I've seen hit at Falcon Field. And it was just, it was a blast, absolute blast. But, they sort of pitched around him all week. Most people did. But, Andy Hallett and his team pitched to him, and he took advantage of it. Like I say, 6-5 in the championship. Hallett started a freshman, making his first varsity appearance in the championship game, pitching. And that tournament gets a little bit taxed towards the end. And I thought that kid accounted himself very well. And AC Flora is going to be a factor in the 4A playoffs coming up here, starting in a little over a week. But Lexington and River Bluff, they played in the third place game. Lexington won that one. They followed that up with they had a 2-game series this week where a lot of region implications were on the line. Lexington beat them on Tuesday. They're in control of their destiny of winning the region. River Bluff is still right there. Dutch Fork is in the running. They got rained out last night. I think they're playing again tonight. And if Lexington wins, they clinch the region outright. But there's still if River Bluff wins, there's still a chance for even a 3-way tie with Dutch Fork in there. So a lot of baseball left to play there on that side of things. But, I see a lot of region teams are wrapping up this week. I think after tonight, Lexington and River Bluff actually plays again tomorrow, but that's a non-region game. And then I think Lexington will finish with Blythewood next week. Just, seeing different people, playing good competition to get ready for the playoffs. And then we have the playoffs starting the week after that. And, they're doing the RPI thing with baseball like they did football. A lot to unpack there. And I saw our good buddy Lou Bajak did a good job of breaking it down in the paper this week. So we'll get into more of that next week of where teams are going to fall.
Going over to softball, you mentioned to me Gilbert and Gray Collegiate had a really good game this week, and Gilbert pulling out a victory.
Yeah, Gilbert won 1-0 in that, but I thought Gray Collegiate was definitely the favorite in 4A. So I got to give some shout outs to Gilbert and what they were able to do. Really a pitcher's duel. The Gilbert kid is the coach's daughter, and I can't remember her first name. Bill, you might know it since your kids go out to Gilbert. I don't know.
I do not. I do not.
You do not. Okay. I'll effort that and have that next week. But that's just they were supposed to play again, and it rained out. They moved that game till Monday. But if Gilbert wins, they win the region, unbeaten in region play. Then if Great Collegiate wins, it goes to the tiebreaker. But both of those teams, I think, are going to go a long ways in the playoffs. I didn't know if anybody could beat Gray, and not just the area, but even in the state. And Gilbert proved me wrong. So you got to put them right there as a state title contender going into the playoffs.
It is the high school highlights of the week with Chris Deering, and because it's the high school highlights of the week, let's highlight something that was a special accomplishment this week for both Gray Collegiate and Kevin Heisey. Win number 600 for the boys soccer coach over there at Gray Collegiate, Chris.
Yeah, congratulations to Kevin Heisey, only the third coach in state history to reach 600 wins in boys soccer. Phil Savitz is leading the way at a long time. Irmo and River Bluff coach, I think he's got 824 career wins. So that's fifth best in the country, from what I can tell as well. So he's been the king. But Kevin Heisey won 600 in his career. 34 years coaching for Kevin Heisey. He did something that you don't really see. I don't think would happen in this day and age, but Kevin Heisey was a student at the University of South Carolina when he took the head coaching job at Bertha Casey. He had not graduated yet. He was over. He played at Bertha Casey. He was over there helping. He was the JV coach. The head varsity coach job came open. They gave him a chance, and it turned out very well. He was very successful at Bertha Casey. He moved over to Gray in 2016, 2017, and has been really successful there. Has been in 6 state championships, 23 region titles. Just really successful run for Kevin Heisey. And, he like I called him when I was out there covering the match on Tuesday against Gilbert. He's a lifer. He started coaching when he was 21 years old as a student, and just carried it on and continued to be really successful. His brother Kyle Heisey is assistant on the staff, and those guys do a really good job, and they do it the right way. So happy to see him get that victory, and big accomplishment for him. And I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. So he might be we might be talking 700 wins here in about 4 or 5 more years.
Before we let you out, got about a minute and a half left with you. Lacrosse, you mentioned playoffs. Give a few shout-outs there to some lacrosse teams across the state.
Yeah, we got lacrosse playoffs already. Like I said, those state championships will be next Friday and Saturday. And teams here in the Midlands still alive. 5A Division I. This is the boys' side of things. Lexington is still in it. They play at Wando this weekend, and River Bluff also still in it. They will play at James Island. Division II side of things, Socastee is at Chapin. So I think Chapin is the number 1 seed in Division II, so got a very good chance of being in the state finals. And then the 4A, Christchurch is playing at AC Flora. I think AC Flora also is the number 1 overall seed. So some of the favorites there on the boys' side of things. And on girls, you got Wando at Lexington and Carolina Forest at River Bluff in Division I 5A. Some of the same schools we just named on the girls' side of things too. Chapin is in it in Division II, playing Lucy Beckham, and then in 4A, AC Flora is at Christchurch. So got a chance to have some Midlands teams in the state championship next week, and we'll talk about that when we get there next Friday.
Chris, always appreciate it, man. A lot of great stuff. Congratulations to Kevin Heisey on a phenomenal accomplishment there, and we will catch up with you next Friday and spend some more time and talk about what all's going on.
Yeah, sounds good. we have a lot of schedules next week to go over with a lot of different sports.
That sounds like a great strategy. We'll definitely do it. Chris Deering with our high school highlights of the week. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. If you're not already doing that, you can just go to cdeering82 is how you do that, and check him out there for a lot of the great high school information. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. We'll get back into a little bit of the transfer portal. Dante Reno leaving yesterday. What does it mean? What do we think about it? We'll tell you about that. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years they have been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. In 30 years, it's a long time. They must be doing something right, such as making sure they are there to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's right. You can give them a phone call right now at 7:30 a.m., and you'll speak with an on-call technician. So if you're sitting there and some of the rain that came through that might be coming through, you've discovered a leak, well, it's time to give Mid-State Roofing a chance to take a peek. Just give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. That's 803-356-1919. At Mid-State Roofing, they design and install a bonded system with protective guarantees that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. But again, most importantly, you never know when a leak is going to pop up. Mid-State Roofing is prepared for you. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they are ready to speak with you. That phone number, 803-356-1919. Give them a phone call. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Traveling on I-77 northbound, you might encounter a bit of a slowdown around Shop Road where they're working on an earlier tie-up. And just a note that still could be an object in the roadway, Old Orangeburg Road near Old Barnwell there at kind of the Land of the Lakes Boulevard. Forecast-wise, pop-up shower is possible, but definitely not a washout today. 82 will be our high. Same for tomorrow with 85, where we should be topping out. And come Sunday, just some cloudy conditions and 75, and then we'll get right back into the 80s for next week. But currently 65 and overcast on the early game.
.36 on your Friday morning. Thank you to Chris Deering for joining us for the high school highlights of the week as we roll through the month of April. Again, next week we will officially be done with April. How about that? Be all done with April and be up and running in May and maybe even getting ready for the Kentucky Derby just a little bit, as well as high school playoffs. 803-404-6100. One thing that is continuously rolling along, the NCAA football transfer portal. It never technically closes.
It doesn't even technically open. It never opens 24/7. It's open. Yeah. It's open 24/7.
So yesterday, not a major surprise, I believe. Dante Reno jumps in the transfer portal 1 year after his arrival. And I think there's a couple things to this. You just, teams can't keep quarterback depth like they used to, because as you said, a wide receiver, you can kind of look around and be like, well, there's 3 spots, maybe 4 for us, maybe even 5, depending on what kind of system you're playing in. Quarterback, you kind of start sitting around a room going, it's 2 dudes over there. That guy's a freshman. That guy was highly thought of. He's the starter. Where do I fit in all this? Mm-hmm. I fit at another place.
Yeah, you look around and you say, hey, there's only so many snaps that go around, and it doesn't look like it's for me. And now you see that scenario play out over the spring, despite what the coaches say, despite how they say if it's an open competition and there's no depth charts and everybody, okay, cool. But when the spring game came and I saw this guy taking these snaps and then I saw this guy actually making plays, you start to do the calculations and it adds up to, I'm out of here.
And it's honestly why I wonder, and South Carolina went through this last year, and I think they fell into Robbie Ashford. You shoot your shot for that elite recruit, right? Like I think quarterback recruiting has evolved to the point where, and South Carolina's getting good enough, you're starting to look, let's just assume for a second that Lenore Sellers continues his development, stays injury-free, and goes on and is drafted highly in the NFL draft. I know that he started at Oklahoma, but Spencer Rattler's kind of our guy. That will be the last 2 quarterbacks that you've sent to the NFL draft that have been drafted after not having one for nearly almost 40 years, I believe, 35 years, something in that nature. And by the way, that was a draft, I think the Todd Ellis draft, that was like 9 or 10 rounds, not 7. You've got something to sell there all of a sudden. That's why I think you go out and you go, okay, who is one of the best in the country that we can land to bring in that is probably going to sit 1 year and then be ready to play?
Yeah, I mean, the recruiting strategy of our quarterbacks has changed, and you have to do the calculus on, do I get a guy? Because even in those 2 dudes, those are very different scenarios. You have Spencer Rattler coming in at the end of his career, in which we got as a bargain buy, because everybody was down on what he was. And then we have Lenore Sellers, who was also a bargain buy because people missed on his recruitment. And so the way that we have to play this game is we have to be very strategic in our evaluations and have to be correct in our evaluations.
Well, and technically Travis Hunter is a transfer, and it's not quarterback, but going from Jackson State. But let's go through some of the previous Heisman quarterback winners. Jaden Daniels, transfer, comes from Arizona State. Caleb Williams in 2022, transfer. Joe Burrow in 2019, transfer. Kyler Murray in 2018, transfer. Baker Mayfield in 2017, transfer. You hear that. I mean, these guys in 2017, 2018, and 2019, the transfer portal wasn't like it is now, but Preston, you see, you go out and there are guys to be had that was one man's scraps, another man's riches.
Well, yeah, but each one of those cases are different too, right? Because Baker Mayfield sort of falls in the same category as Cam Ward, where he was at a lower level and he ends up transferring to a higher level. Whereas guys like
no, he was at Texas Tech. He was just a walk-on.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas Tech to Oklahoma, I understand what you're going.
That's not the same level, right? That's
Incarnate Word, yeah.
It's different levels, right? So then you have Caleb Williams.
Kyler Murray was the next one who went A&M to Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Then you have Caleb Williams, who followed his coach, and that was a different sort of incarnation of what the transfer portal is. And so there's a lot of different reasons. Even if you look at all of those dudes, they all left for different reasons. Joe Burrow was just buried down on the depth chart, and he couldn't play. He didn't see himself playing. So he left and leaved and goes to LSU. So everybody has different stories as to why they do. But yes, this is the world that we're in, where probably the quarterback you get will not likely be the quarterback you start with.
Yeah, the guy that's why I'm wondering. So you go to the high school ranks and you go, okay, who is the elite of the elite that we can recruit in our regional footprint? Maybe we have ties to that school. Maybe there's some kind of connection there with family. And then if not, you look around. I think you look around at the quarterback kind of market in the transfer portal and go, okay, who's out there? I did not realize this until we brought it up. The Malik Murphy situation is kind of interesting because I feel like, he goes from Texas, goes to Duke, had a really good season there for Manny Diaz, and it feels like he thought he was going to transfer up. Well, Oregon State, not only is he now going from one end of the country, here we go, another guy who's done Texas, now done the East Coast and the Southeast, and now is going to the Northwest, but it doesn't feel like transferring to Oregon State is a step up from Duke. And that's interesting. Did he go into the portal thinking there would be bigger, better options, only to find out, oh, no, and now I'm going out to a school that actually is not in a conference?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if they were still in the Pac-12, I'd be like, okay, I kind of get it. Oregon State's got a decent little history out there. But now they're not in the conference. You're not really on television. You're not really around your family. There's a whole lot of things that are going on there.
Yeah, and again, you hope he made the calculus on that, but he has to live with that decision. We'll see if that pays off for him in the future.
South Carolina also yesterday loses seventh-year offensive lineman.
Check his birth certificate.
Ja'Kai Moore enters the transfer portal. A starter a few years ago. Is this a byproduct, Preston, you think, of upgrading the talent or injuries taking a player down?
Well, he's been here 7 years because he's been riddled with injuries.
True.
But also, if you've been here 7 years, you should be able to play.
Okay.
So, yes, the talent has gotten better around him. He has dealt with injuries, which are unfortunate, but they are part of the game. But if you're at your seventh year and there are people passing you, then you probably need to find another option.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. We'll come back. Nick Eamon Ward didn't go in the first round last night. We'll discuss that a little bit. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for the Egton Law Firm. Have you received one of those mean, nasty notices from the IRS? Are they after you or your business? And if they are, your personal or your business income taxes could be in a little bit of trouble. Don't allow that to happen. Contact John Egton today. Give him a phone call and get a free consultation. 803-771-9800. Again, that's 803-771-9800. At the Egton Law Firm, they have a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good because they understand the challenges you're facing. They've been there. They've helped families here in Columbia, in Greenville, in Spartanburg, in Charleston, in Aiken, Augusta. They know what they're doing. They've got proven local solutions. They know exactly how to help you to escape the IRS maze. So take the first steps towards a worry-free life. Call the Egton Law Firm today, 803-771-9800. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-404-6100. How you can weigh in this morning as we have discussed some fashion, some drafts, some high school sports, even a little bit of transfer portal news as South Carolina loses Dante Reno to the transfer portal yesterday. I say loses like they were wandering around the building, couldn't find him. He just fell into the portal somewhere.
The portal got him. Where's Dante? The portal. I think the portal struck again.
He was going up the escalator and it just opened up and he went right in there. What happened?
I love that as a concept. He was just walking around. Coach, he was here yesterday. I don't know what's going on. Hey, guys, beware. Anytime you come to the facility, the portal is open. Just watch it. Or the janitor's putting signs up. Beware, portal open. Don't step here. I love that.
Slippery when wet. Portal here.
It's like a horror movie where he's just in the shower or something. He's doing something by himself, and all of a sudden the portal just appears, snatches him up, and then everybody comes back 5 minutes later. So we can't find him, Coach. I think the portal got him.
Another one.
803-404-6100. One guy that the portal almost got. Nick Ebenwari, Preston Thorne.
Yes, very, very close. But Nick Ebenwari recruited, stayed, finished his whole career at the University of South Carolina. Did not go in the first round yesterday. A lot to a surprise to all of the mock drafts that we read yesterday. And this is why I say mock drafts are for entertainment purposes only. Entertainment purposes only, because the mock drafts had him anywhere from 13 to 31. And none of that happened. There are all various reasons why that could happen, but he did not get picked in the first round from yesterday. So a very disappointing day for Nick, because you see the mock drafts, teams are talking to you. I'm sure Sonny Weaver Juniors are calling him, telling him that they're going to take him in the first round, and it doesn't end up happening. So it's disappointing, but there's a lot of reasons why that might happen.
He is listed on, I believe this is ESPN's board. I was looking to see if they've got a name behind it.
So I saw Field Yates had him listed as the fourth best available.
Okay, maybe this is Mel Kiper, or but he's listed as third best on here.
Mel Kiper and Field Yates differ on opinion.
I'm not sure who's, but it's on ESPN.com. It just says best available. Will Johnson, the Michigan defensive back, is listed as the best available out there still to go. This is overall, by the way, and then Mike Green for an edge from Marshall, and then Ebenwari at 3. But you're right. You know, there were no mock drafts. Nobody's been able to produce a mock draft that said that he wasn't in. CBS had him in all the mock drafts. ESPN had him in all the mock drafts. The Athletic had him in all the mock drafts. Pretty much everybody had him. But it happens. It happens, right? Now, the one that's a little more crazy that we'll talk about coming up in the next hour is Shedeur Sanders. But it's not like Ebenwari is going to fall to the third or the fourth round. We would expect him to go, I would say, within the first. I would expect him, maybe not, but to go within the first 10 picks.
Yeah, and it's just an accounting. It's just an accounting thing. It's just really cool to look back and say I got drafted in the first round, right? It's really cool to be able to say that there is a money difference. So the difference between going 32nd, where you would get $13 million, as opposed to going 33rd, one pick difference. 32nd is $13 million. You get picked the first pick of the second round, $10 million. $3 million difference between here and here. And really, it's not that much of a difference, right? So, yes, it is an accounting thing where you're not in the first round. That sucks. But also, there's a money issue here where if you are pick 32, the last pick of the first round, it's going to be $13 million according to Sport Track. And if you are the first pick of the second round, it's $10 million. So it's essentially about $3 million difference in the money that you are slotted for as far as contract is concerned. So it's not a big thing, but yes, there is a substantial amount of money that is not going to be there if you get drafted. And if you continue sliding, then the money goes even further.
So just looking as things stand here at 7:52, the Browns have 2 of the first 4 picks. The Texans are going tonight, the start of the second round. Picks 33, 34, 35, 36. Browns have 2 of them. Texans and Titans 35, 36. Raiders at 37. Patriots 38. Bears 39. Saints 40, Bears again at 41. So if I just give you those picks, the first 9 picks there, and then if I want to back it, I'll give you 10 at the Jets. Where do you think he goes, and where do you think is the best fit?
See, I don't I don't think you can predict where you think he goes unless you understand the best fits. I'm not familiar with those teams' rosters, but really, essentially, all that matters is fit from here on out. And in a way, you could spin it and say, actually, Nick hasn't slid yet because only one other safety has been drafted.
Okay.
So he's still the second. He still will be the second safety to be drafted. I think it's Malachi Starks from Georgia got drafted by the Ravens.
Yeah.
So essentially, everybody knew that the Ravens had a need at safety. It was going to come down to these two picks. They picked Malachi Starks. Now, the next team that needs a safety. Now, if they don't pick Nick, now you start to consider it a slide.
Okay.
But realistically, he hasn't really slid, so I would have to know the team's rosters in and out and see who was actually looking for a safety. But you don't really start sliding until more people get picked at your position above you, as opposed to like Shedeur Sanders when we get to. You can consider that a slide now because Jackson Dart got picked ahead of him. But Nick is still in a solid position. We'll see who the next safety off the board is. I assume it will be him, and so he'll just be the second safety drafted in the NFL draft.
The other guys that we're watching for tonight, I believe, probably T.J. Sanders, Demetrius Knight.
The reason why you think it might be T.J. Sanders is because a bunch of defensive tackles have already been taken off the board.
Yeah.
So as they get taken off the board, so TJ's in a weird situation where he's hoping for more guys to get drafted because if they get drafted higher, that means I get drafted higher. So things are moving up for TJ.
Again, it'll be interesting to see Demetrius Knight tonight. If he is able to work his way up there, if these combines have kind of paid off for him, it'll be interesting to see if a guy like Tonka Hemingway is able to get there. According, to this best available on ESPN, TJ Sanders, number 18. Old Jordan Birch, number 20, on best available there right now. So Jordan Birch at 20, TJ Sanders at 18. We'll continue to watch that. 803-404-6100 will be a lot of fun to keep up with tonight. We'll get back into some draft. Got some Gamecock whip around. It's going to be a big weekend for South Carolina, and we haven't done it just yet. We got to get a Birmingham Stallions update.
Ready now.
Hour 3 on the way. Bill Gunner for Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning with their patented ZR Water Technology. That's right. This is the reason you need to call Zerorez. The ZR Water Technology does not leave behind a sticky, soapy residue. No harsh chemicals on the carpets. You can feel comfortable with the kids rolling around on it this summer, laying on it. You can feel comfortable with the pets being on it. Zerorez and their patented ZR Water Technology is what stands out. So call today and book your cleaning. If you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, you can get 3 rooms cleaned for the price of 2. You heard that right. 3 rooms cleaned, but only paying for 2. So give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, or book online, ZerorezColumbia.com. Again, mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, and you'll get 3 rooms cleaned, but only pay for the price of 2. So give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, or schedule online, ZerorezColumbia.com. Zerorez, spell it backwards and forwards, is the right way to clean.
Downtown Columbia, you'll encounter a slowdown Divine Street near Woodrow Street due to an accident there. And St. Andrews at Jameel Road, also a report of an accident. Forecast-wise, 82, that's what we're looking at today. Maybe just a pop-up shower or storm possible. Couple of pop-up storms again possible tomorrow. Get these warmer temperatures, high of 85 and 77 with clouds on Sunday. So pretty decent weekend overall. Not looking for any kind of washout. Currently 66 on 107.5 The Game.
$8 a.m. as we wrap up our week here at the 107.5 The Game studios. One more hour to go. Plenty to get into. So we have been discussing the draft from last night. Are you a huge draft guy? I'm
No.
learning. Okay.
No.
So you would rank last night's draft pretty entertaining for you then, I guess. Or was it entertaining or was it not? That's my big question. Did you...
Yeah, it was entertaining for a draft. Yeah, it was
Okay.
cool. I don't find the draft essentially that entertaining, but for all the things that the draft provides, yeah, it was cool.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm with you. I was more into the NHL hockey last night, probably even more a little bit with NBA playoffs. But I'd flip over and see kind of what was going on. And as I mentioned, I kept flipping over and watching the ABC version, which had Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, Desmond Howard, and Nick Saban. Kind of interesting to hear Nick Saban talking about some certain things, but I knew what was going on, let's just say, but I wasn't watching a whole bunch. I was more into the hockey last night and what was going on. But we've talked a lot about the draft, talked about the transfer portal. South Carolina loses a quarterback. Dante Reno also loses a seventh-year offensive lineman. He had avoided it for 6 years. He would be wandering the halls of the facility over there, and he'd see the portal. He decides to put his back against the wall. Whoa.
I love this.
Almost got me there.
I love it.
Yesterday, he turned his head, and the portal got him. Ja'Kai Moore enters the transfer portal for South Carolina.
I could just see a long soliloquy. You've been chasing me down for all these years, and finally.
Just got him in a corner.
Mm-hmm.
Had no way out.
You and me, buddy.
And then he just ran right through it. Just
I love it. I love this concept.
So we talked a little bit about that this morning. Preston does have a question for you that we got into in the late hour of 6. When was the last time you actually got dressed up? When is the last time you actually got dressed up for something? And we went through a couple of those from people talking about it. Mine would have been back. I'd say realistically dressed up like was probably for the leukemia ball, the leukemia gala with Lauren back around the Final Four of 2023. That was we dressed up pretty substantially. I think I had a black suit on. I say dressed up because it was a 1920s like gangster theme, but had the black suit on with the black pinstripe shirt with a silver tie. Had the hair all going, lots of mousse and stuff, or whatever, hair gel. So I'd say that was probably the last time.
That's solid. Yeah, it's just interesting, the times that we we'll probably do it less and less as a society now, but the idea of just, no, we're going to get actually dressed up for this thing, and you're going to put on whatever your best is, or you're going to go out and get something for the event, or you're going to have something made for the event. It's just cool. In reference to the folks in the draft yesterday who absolutely got dressed up to the best of their ability. Some missed. And for the players, it's excusable. For you, Adam Schefter, what are you doing?
Yeah, Adam Schefter, very poor, very poor. Again, I want to go back to the transfer portal because one of the text messages that comes in that Preston railed against earlier. Walt says, What will we do without Dante Reno, Mr. Gamecock, Gamecock's top recruiter, Hollywood Reno, Mr. SC?
Listen, I made a proclamation during the 6. I'll make it again at the 8. Now on, if you're a recruit and I see you putting up the hashtag and you are inviting people and telling people to come on, I don't want you. Red flag. It doesn't work. Dante Reno, Pup Howard. I'm sure the list goes on and on. I've shared my personal experience about how there was a player way back in the year of our Lord 2000 who was getting recruited, and he was the one telling everybody how, man, we're going to be the class that comes in and change things. You see us, guys, this is going to be it. And my mother looked at me dead in the eyes and said, that boy's not going to make it. And sure enough, that boy didn't make it. Not only did he not make it, he didn't make it past 2-a-days. Now, the reason why he didn't make it past 2-a-days was because he wasn't good, first of all, but he was not here for all of the work. He was here for the celebration and he was here for getting recruited and here for being the face of the class and all. I don't want to hear it. So, and you know what that brings me to? And I'm just going to say it. My eyes on you, Eli Ellis. My eyes on you, Eli.
Oh.
My eyes on you, Eli. Okay. You're talking a lot. I don't know how. I'm squarely on Eli Ellis right now because my red flag is up. If you're a recruit and you're out here talking about the class and being the head of the class and the face of the class, I don't know if it works.
All right.
Dante Reno, Pup Howard, examples A and B.
So we will
eyes on you, Eli.
Continue to watch this transfer portal. South Carolina does have 2 official visitors coming in on the offensive line scheduled for the next 10 days. We'll tell you more about that. But let's get to a little bit of our Gamecock Whip Around, sponsored by Mid-State Roofing. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. All right, some Gamecock Whip Around, Miss Jen. I think we've got our official Gamecock Whip Around music. And let's start here with a little bit of fun. How about some beach volleyball for you? Preston Thorne, beach volleyball, heading toward the conference tournament down in Baton Rouge this weekend. Beach volleyball, right now, they will get going today. It'll be the final edition of the Coastal Collegiate Sports Association postseason tournament. This is the final year for it. All 4 conference members will move to the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation. And the tournament moves from Alabama to Louisiana this year, set for a 2-day event.
What a hard sport. Because the people are so beautiful that play it, you think it's fun. It's not fun. Sand is ridiculous to play any athletic sport in. And kudos to all of them.
Gamecocks finished the regular season 14-15. They are the 4 seed in the double elimination tournament, facing top-seeded Texas. Another matchup with Texas, 10 a.m. this morning. The winner faces the advancing team from the battle between 2-seed Florida State and 3-seed LSU. Also this weekend, Ashley Chastain Woodard. She'll take her softball team down to Auburn and get set for they've got 2 series left, Preston, 2 series left. They've rolled along so far this season. They are still in contention for a national seed, and that'll get going tonight. We're currently ranked 13th according to Gamecocks Online, playing an unranked Auburn team. That's playing an unranked team in softball basically means you need to sweep.
Yeah, they need to finish this one.
So they will be down in Auburn on the Plains this weekend. Again, 6 o'clock tonight. Again, we'll be on the SEC Network Plus. 3 o'clock tomorrow, also on the SEC Network Plus. And then they will close out the series on Sunday, 2 o'clock. Again, SEC Network Plus, just to give you a little future view there. Furman on Tuesday before the regular season comes to a conclusion. A very good first season for Ashley Chastain Woodard. Alabama comes to town next week, and it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 6 p.m., and 12 noon. And then they will head to the SEC tournament in Athens, Georgia. South Carolina also has locked up an NCAA tournament bid. Right now, they are playing again more for national seeding. 35-11 on the season, 10-8 in conference. But again, we just mentioned it. Anytime you play home or on the road, anytime you play an SEC team that's not ranked, you really need to sweep.
Take care of business.
You need to take advantage of that. Also this weekend, got our baseball going on. It'll be first pitch tonight right here, 107.5 the game, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch. Preston, they head to Kentucky. It's one of those things, I feel like it's one eye on it. And if they go down 4-0 in the first inning, you just are like, all right, back to the draft or back to the hockey or back to the NBA or whatever else.
I think that's totally fair. They have to win the game tonight in order to start looking at taking the series because, you know, you have your best pitchers going tonight. You have all the cards lined up for you. This is a big one as far as the series is concerned.
Yeah, you need to win. They have to win. You don't need to win. They have to win 2 of 3. 6:30 tonight, 4:30 tomorrow, and 1 o'clock on Sunday will be the matches of those. They've got to take 2 of 3. You'd love to sweep because we mentioned they need to sweep one series. They've got to win, in our opinion, 9 more conference games in the final 4 series to get to 13 and 17, which most seem to think if they were to be 13 and 17, good chance given the SEC strength of schedule and the fact that you brought up this week, South Carolina was 20-0 with 2 more non-conference games against quad 3 and 4 teams. They've handled their business against the bad teams. They are, I think, 2-12, I believe is what we had, or 3-12. I can't quite remember. They had 2 wins over Oklahoma and a win over Mississippi, which would be top 25 competition. That is your baseball for the weekend. Again, first pitch tonight, 6:15 pregame, 6:30 first pitch over right here on 107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. Let's wrap it up. A little bit of track and field. Give them a little bit of love. They will head to the 2025 Charlotte Invitational, a 2-day event beginning today, April the 25th, and concluding tomorrow. Friday will consist of 4 field events, beginning with the women's hammer throw. Preston Thorne, women's hammer throw. Running events on Friday will be distance events only, beginning with women's open 5K coming up later today and concluding with the men's 5K. Saturday's festivities will begin with the women's high jump at 11 a.m. and the first track event will be the men's 4x100-meter relay at noon. The final event of the meet will be the men's 4x400 relay. That'll be tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So track and field up at the at the Charlotte, up in Charlotte for the Charlotte Invitational. So there is your Gamecock whip around. We did also mention part of the news yesterday. Dante Reno jumps in the transfer portal. Jacob Moore jumps in the transfer portal. So the Gamecocks, I think those are probably the 2 that maybe on, I think, Monday night, Shane Beamer kind of alluded to that we're making some decisions. I would think. I think after yesterday, you feel comfortable now that probably the meetings have concluded. Everybody's made their decision. I think anybody else that's significant might be a bit of a surprise.
Okay.
That is your Gamecock Whip Around, sponsored by Mid-State Roofing. Give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. We come back. Well, we haven't really addressed it yet, but we will. Shador Sanders last night. Was it fair or unfair the way he's been treated? Is it unfair the way he slid? We'll discuss that a little bit. Some people think it's unfair the way he's been treated and maybe how it affected his draft stock. I'll throw that at you and see what you think, Preston Thorne.
It's fair.
We'll get that out there. And also coming up, because I forgot to do it right now, a Birmingham Stallions update. We'll come back with that as well.
Big one this weekend.
Big one this weekend. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner from Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years, Mid-State Roofing has been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of them is the simple fact that they are there for their customers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They want to make sure that if you've got a leak, they're there to help you take a peek. Mid-State Roofing will have someone answer your phone call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you call after hours, it'll be a Mid-State Roofing on-call technician. If you call during hours, a Mid-State Roofing employee, and they are there to help you with a maintenance contract. Make sure that your operation stays dry and running long into the future, because from high-rises to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee. So give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. You can visit them on the web, midstateroofing.com. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
Divine Street near Woodrow Street, still working that earlier tie-up, as well as St. Andrews Road at Jameel Road. Killian at Farrow Road, also a report of an accident, so do be careful in that area as well. And the forecast, pop-up shower or a storm could happen today, 82 for the high. Same pretty much tomorrow, just a high of 85. And then some clouds and 75, 77, somewhere in there for Sunday. But it's kind of holding steady this morning. Temperatures haven't changed too much as of yet. We're sitting at 66 on 107.5 The Game.
We all didn't expect this, of course, but I feel like with God, anything possible, everything possible. I don't feel like this happened, for no reason. All this is, of course, fuel to the fire. And under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. But we understand we're on the bigger and better things. Tomorrow's the day. We're going to be happy regardless. Legendary.
The voice of Shedeur Sanders last night addressing, I guess, his crowd, his family. I didn't really pay attention to where he was at, if it was like a country club or a establishment or a house or what he was at, but he had a group there. He also said legendary at the end. I'm looking at the video where he's addressing it. There is like a hat rack, maybe?
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
Yeah, that was where he was going to pick the hat that he was getting selected.
Ah, okay. Well, that he was going to grab the hat. I don't think he got to pick where he was going to be selected.
Right.
He also, I'm reading a Robert Griffin III tweet. He stood tall in the face of adversity and disappointment.
But he also said, we know it shouldn't have happened, or something like that. It's like, no. You weren't guaranteed that, and I'd love to know you guys' perspective on, was he just that good that he was a first-round pick, or has all that just sort of been manufactured a little bit? I mean, obviously, I know he has talent if he's in the draft, but I don't know. Well,
let me just start with this. What did you say the numbers were from first to second round?
Oh, it's $3 million from 32 to 33.
Well, looking at that 40-pound thing around his neck, I think he's okay.
Sign me up for adversity where I still get $3 million.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right here. I'll take adversity and disappointment for $3 million. And he's had
I don't need the 10. I'll take the 3.
He's had a perfectly good life to live with. How good is he? How good is he? I would wonder if his name was, if he did everything that he did, and his name was Shedeur Johnson, because I got to think some of this isn't Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if you want to deal with Daddy Sanders.
Correct. Which isn't fair, but, is there a time where you can cut your dad off? I mean, I don't mean cut him off, but Dad, please don't. Would Dad listen, or does Dad not care? And is he, Daddy ball, Daddy, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting tendrils to this story. If you start with the part of is he good enough? Is he better than Jackson Dart? I don't know. I think maybe, I don't know. I think there's a conversation. I don't think Jackson Dart is very good either. But the things with Shedeur is that the scouts say he doesn't have a very strong arm, so he can't make all the alleged NFL throws. He's not extremely mobile as far as being able to move around in the pocket. So he does have some limitations physically. That's never stopped anybody from drafting quarterbacks before. On the flip side, he is a winner. He does have NFL pedigree, which they always seem to be very, very high on, and he does not have any off the field issues. So there are some conversations that could be had on either side.
But he didn't interview well either.
but he didn't interview well according to some sources, according to some anonymous sources. So some people say he didn't interview well, some people say he did. That's where it gets tricky. The draft is about fit. Does everybody need a quarterback? No. So again, did he really get left out of the first round? Well, only 2 quarterbacks were drafted ahead of him, Cam Ward and Jackson Dart. If another quarterback goes out ahead of him, then I think you start to really wonder if it's a slide.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's another quarterback that's necessarily right up there near him when I look at it. Again, according to ESPN's best available, Shedeur is still at number 8. He is the top quarterback in this grouping of.
If they start to take that kid from the grown man from Louisville,
Tyler Shaw.
You have to take Tyler Shaw next. Then you start to wonder what's happening.
My thing here is to go back, and John Gruden had a thing on Barstool last night that was actually pretty funny. I don't think we can play it because I think there's some language involved. But he goes off on reports and sources. And part of it was on the Shedeur Sanders thing because he said, there's so much misinformation that's being put out right now, left and right, about, man, that guy didn't interview well with us, and we're not going to take him. And John Gruden was kind of doing a Barstool podcast, basically kind of just saying, like, you don't know what's true and what's not right now. To Jen's point, how good is he? Is he as an NFL quarterback? Are you willing to spend, Preston, you being a defensive lineman, you understand those are because what you said is correct. One of the teams that needed him was the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Pittsburgh Steelers looked around. Is it worth taking him or a guy that maybe you feel like is going to be a solid contributor for 5 to 7 years in Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle out of Oregon? Or is it worth taking a boom or bust pick on a Shedeur Sanders who, quite frankly, honestly, look, number one, let's be clear about this. He's never had any off-the-field issues. Mm-hmm. The other one has. Okay? He's brash. He's cocky. He's the guy that if he's on your team, you probably love it, and if he's the guy that's on the other team, you hate it. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the same way with his father. Mm-hmm. But he's not a trouble kid, or at least as far as we know publicly, he's not. The brother has the bankruptcy?
Yeah,
Shiloh has the bankruptcy.
Shiloh has some stuff.
But the truth is that Shedeur's cocky and brash. Doesn't necessarily fit with the Steelers, though, and good Lord, who knows how that would have fit with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. To your point on Jackson Dart, my thing on Jackson Dart is, going back to your Birmingham Stallions, there is a theory out there that Lane Kiffin quarterbacks are not prepared. Patrick was huge on this. Patrick Pratt was huge on this, that Lane Kiffin quarterbacks are not prepared for the NFL because of the way he coaches them, that the way he does reads and what he allows them to do in a game. Because Matt Corral was supposed to be this special talent, and people started watching him do NFL stuff, and were like, he can't do it. And look where he's ended up now. He's not even getting a chance in the league.
Ended up as a 3-time champion.
In that league.
There is
that thing on Lane Kiffin QBs, though.
Well, and again, is he good enough? That is a fair question. But again, we just talked about Will Levis getting drafted in the first round. He was never good enough. Zach Wilson being drafted number 1 overall. He was never good enough. There are plenty of examples of quarterbacks who have been drafted Malik Willis. Was he good enough? He played at Liberty for 1 year, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, this is the guy. So the idea of, is he good enough? We don't know. I think there's 2 things. You know he comes from a strong pedigree. You know that he hasn't done anything off the field. The flip side of that is maybe he's maxed out all of his talent. Maybe this is as good as he's going to get, and that's not good enough to be a franchise NFL quarterback. I think there are a lot of questions around him, and it just so happens that him and his family have been known to draw the spotlight. They're not shying away from it. This is all better for them.
803-404-6100. Let's get to the phone lines. Lawrence has been waiting. Wants to ask a quarterback-related question. Lawrence, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Yes. I don't know if y'all heard this or not. Last night I was wrong in looking at all the draft. But when it came time to say, okay, what's New Orleans going to do? And are they going to take Shedeur Sanders, or are they going to take another quarterback? And I was wondering why are they basing their thought that New Orleans needed a quarterback? And I'm thinking, what do they think about Spencer Rattler? I just didn't understand. And New Orleans didn't take a quarterback, of course, but what went into their thinking New Orleans was going to maybe take a quarterback? That's what I got to ask.
Good question. Yeah, people are not high on Spencer Rattler around the country as we are here. We love him and we think he's good. The rest of the country thinks he's average at best, and his NFL performance sort of confirmed a lot of that conversation. And I don't think the folks in New Orleans think they have the guy that we think they have.
No, they don't. They don't right now. They're. I mean, for them, it's blowing everything up now and starting all over. And I think they want to go with a young guy. But I'm not sure this is the draft to go and find. You know, you look at guys. You mentioned Tyler Shaw. Quinn Ewers is still out there as a guy that people are talking about. Obviously, if the Saints, I was trying to look and see just how far down the Saints have, but Jalen Milroe is still out there. Will Howard is still out there. Old Kyle McCord is still out there. Dylan Gabriel is still out there. I don't know if those are upgrades for this draft, though.
Yeah, if you start to see any of those guys get drafted up ahead of Shedeur, then you start to think, like, man, something's up.
803-404-6100. However, there is a Ole Miss quarterback, as you mentioned, Preston Thorne, leading the way for the Birmingham Stallions.
Birmingham Stallions, 3-1. Big matchup this weekend against the Memphis Showboats.
Okay.
Now, the reason why this is a big matchup, Bill, because the Memphis Showboats are 0-4. So we got to take care of business here. We have to take care of business on the Memphis Showboats. Matt Corral's out with a midsection injury.
He's got a midsection.
He's got a midsection. So I don't know what a midsection injury is, but it seems like it's pretty difficult. So they will have Case Cookus as the quarterback for the Birmingham Stallions.
I'm sorry, what?
Case Cookus. Case Cookus.
I feel like that is an unfortunate name.
Case Cookus will be starting this week for the Birmingham Stallions. They beat the Houston Roughnecks last week to move to 3-1. Things are on pace. They will get things done. We move onward.
There is
Stallion up.
There.
Giddy up. I don't know what we said. Giddy up.
I kind of like Stallion
up.
All right, there's your Birmingham Stallions official update from the one and only aficionado of the Birmingham Stallions, Mr. Preston Thorne. We'll come back. We do have a little bit of Shiloh Sanders audio. All right, Shedeur might have been a little too serious last night. Shiloh at least read the room and saw what was going on. We'll let you hear Shiloh. We'll also get back into some Nick Eamon-Maury discussion. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for the Men's Clinic and Dr. Dan Balknight. Guys, as we get older, get into our 40s and even older, our health starts to change a little bit. You might be experiencing some issues. Maybe they're at home. Maybe they're at work. Maybe they're after working out, things that you're not accustomed to and you're uncomfortable talking about, but it's not something that you need to shrug off. You need to go visit Dr. Dan Balknight and the Men's Clinic, and here's why. There's nothing generic about you, so why are you settling for general medical care? They are the experts in men's health. But most importantly, they believe that the way to be treated is with an individual regimen, something that is tailor-made and specific to the issues that you are having. And look, I know sometimes we feel it's hard to talk about certain issues that are going on in our life with our health. It doesn't mean you shrug them off. So call today and line up an appointment, 803-875-MENS. Again, that's 803-875-MENS. Call Dr. Dan Balknight today. Schedule an appointment.
Here in downtown Columbia, be mindful that there's an accident, Divine Street near Woodrow Street. Also have a report of a tie-up, Highway 1 near Brickyard Road, Killian Road at Faro, St. Andrews Road at Jameel Road, trying to get that earlier tie-up cleaned up, and Spears Creek Church Road at Highway 1, Highway 378 at Halbrook Drive, also a slowdown there. And as we've been talking about today, just could see a pop-up storm at some point today. Not really projected to have any kind of a washout. Same for tomorrow. Today's high 82, tomorrow 85. It's 65 currently on 107.5 The Game.
.34 on a Friday morning as we roll along here. Did get a text in, missed this on the Gamecock Whip Around. Said off topic, but want to give a shout out to the Gamecock men's golf team down at Sea Island with a good chance today to advance to match play tomorrow for the first time in several years. Nathan Franks 2 shots off the lead for the individual championship, and also props to the ladies for the SEC championship win last weekend. So yeah, good luck to the men's golf team. I did just look, they are set to tee off this morning in about 15 minutes down there at St. Simon's Island at Sea Island Golf Club. They are currently, as a team, Preston, 5 under, tied for 7th with Mississippi State. So good luck to them. Forgot them on the Gamecock Whip Around. 803-404-6100. So last night, Shedeur Sanders maybe didn't read the room. Or maybe he was just in his own room.
Who, Shedeur?
Shedeur last night.
Okay.
He maybe didn't. How did he phrase it, Jen? He said, we know this isn't right.
Yeah, this isn't how it should have happened or something.
Yeah, something so that younger brother, former Gamecock, Shiloh Sanders, read the room. I was like, uh-oh. If they're doing that to him, what are they going to do to me? Here is Shiloh Sanders last night after the draft.
This part of it, I don't understand. Because you gotta understand. See, bro, I don't even know what they're gonna do with me, bro, because they're doing you like this.
Also indicates Shiloh thinks he's got a chance to get drafted.
Well, according to drafts, he's day 3 or later. So day 3 or later could be anything, right?
Isn't that really though about anybody though? Day 3 or later, like.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of folks that have been told by their agents, yeah, man, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, yeah, you're gonna go, and they're gonna be sitting around on Sunday, and they will not get called. Yeah, so he's amongst them. But yeah, Shiloh, the more interesting brother, in my opinion, because Shiloh's kind of the ugly duckling of the family. Dion is typically a little bit harder on Shiloh's.
Well, remember his introductory press conference in Colorado where he was like, I brought my 2 sons, and one of them was Travis Hunter, and the other was Shedeur. He goes, the other one's back, back in Jack.
Yeah, Shiloh finds himself at the bottom of the Sanders family rankings very often, so it's interesting.
So when you go 4th, 5th, when you go 4th, 5th, 6th round, something like that, at that point, are you just sitting in your pajamas in the living room having a little popcorn? Because like the fun and the festivities, I think, are gone at that point.
Well, that's the thing. So they have all these draft parties, and Nick had one yesterday, and it's a very awkward situation. Because everybody's here for this draft party, and everybody's like, oh, man, you're going to get drafted in the 1st round. This is going to be so much fun. And then the names start getting called. And your name doesn't get called. And the buzzer goes off again. And then they pick Malachi Starks. And then you're like, uh-oh. And everybody's around like, it's going to be all right, man. It's good. And you're like, no, I don't know how this is going to go. Tough spot. So he's in the 1st round. There is somebody out there who has a projection. Let's say, I don't know, T.J. Sanders, Tonka Hemingway, Boogie Huntley. They got a projection too. There's going to be people at their house watching this draft. And it's going to go on and on and on. People just start looking around, like, do we leave? Do we stay?
Is this where you start looking over the table of food? Like, how many? 1, 2, 3, 17 wings left. Okay, all right.
Food's getting cold.
Hang around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Tough spot. It's a tough spot. This is happening all over the country.
Does everything but from last night get put in containers? and then reheated today.
Ta-da! Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the situation is for Nick, but yes, that is a situation where I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do.
I honestly didn't even think about that aspect of it, where it's like
tough spot.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of staring at you. You're on the couch, just kind of. We were watching. They had a montage earlier on one of the ESPN channels up here of like what I would say is how would you label it? Of like getting draft fails, where it's the guy being drafted and maybe the girlfriend was next to him or something occurred, and they were filming it, and it's a very bad look. They had was it Wilson, I believe, where his girlfriend leans in and like hugs him. It's kind of like laying on his chest, and the mom basically comes in and rips her off.
I was like, no, back away. There was a good highlight from last night's draft where the fella that got drafted from the Saints, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, Derek, for the Saints.
For the Saints, he got drafted by the Saints, and there was a baby sleep. When he got drafted, the baby got woken up because everybody was clapping, and the baby was in the woman's arms, got woken up, spit up.
Oh, no. I didn't see that.
Immediately. So the baby did make a lot of these draft highlight clips. So, yes, draft part is a whole nother interesting aspect of this that a lot of people don't think about it. And, you think about Nick, who projected to go in the first round anywhere from 13 to 31. People are over at his house. Dylan Stewart was there, if you saw from the pictures yesterday. And then he doesn't get drafted. It's like this night is anticlimactic. He's going to get drafted early today, but that was a long night for them last night.
I'm sure, yeah, that it was difficult. I'll never get to be in that position of trying to weigh like, man, I wanted to get this done, but I still know that probably tomorrow's $3 million, $4 million, whatever. And I'm sure the other part to that you were kind of going for, like, I'm guessing Nick Eamon as the draft night starts, your range. Like, I'd like to be a little more privy to the conversations of what the agent is saying. Like, hey, here's who we're looking at. At 17, the Bengals have expressed an extreme interest in you, but we think they're going to probably go with Walter Nolan. But this is about the time you start watching. 24, I think it was. 24, the Vikings. This is your potential landing spot. 24 is when you need to be on the couch with the family, sitting around looking engaged. This is when we could be getting a shot. Okay, they didn't draft it. That's okay. 27, Ravens. Like, I'd be interested to hear how those conversations are going.
Yeah, that's exactly how the conversations go. The only issue is that when the agent tells you, hey, 17, and you're 21 years old, you hear 17. You don't hear, oh, I might go 27. No, I'm like, oh, why wouldn't they pick me? I'm Nick Eamon.
Right.
I'm the greatest Gamecock safety ever. Of course they're going to pick me, and then they don't. And then you have those other sides. So, yeah, it is a very interesting dynamic at play.
And then for the other ones, guys like T.J. Sanders, O'Donnell Fortune, Tonka Hemingway, Kyle Kennard, I guess last night maybe more relaxing. You're just like you're hanging out.
Yeah, well, yeah, you didn't. You're like, hey, no, don't come today. I know the draft is today, but don't, because there's there's family members who
we're just doing pizza tonight. We're just ordering the pizza. No. It's just pizza.
There's family members who don't really have a clue how this works. It's like, yeah, Kyle, the draft is today. You're like, kind of, a little bit.
It does technically start today. Yeah.
It does.
It'll roll on tonight. And again, it'll be interesting tonight to see where certain guys, you will hear some we should hear, I should say, certain Gamecocks names called tonight. We expect Nick Eamon to be the first one off the board, and very, very early.
Right.
Demetrius Knight, according to Best Available, is listed as the number 2 linebacker on the board. So how long does he hang around in this draft? You go to defensive ends or edges. Excuse me for misrepresenting who's who now. But edges listed in the draft. Jordan Birch is number 3. I don't know if he's back here in Columbia doing something or if he's out there in Eugene. Kyle Kennard has kind of fallen, I believe, to number 6. He's number 16 now. I feel like that's fallen a little bit. So you honestly might be looking at him as a day 3 guy.
Or later. Yeah, that's how this goes. And that wasn't what he would have been thinking earlier in the season. But this is how the draft gets very interesting very quickly for a lot of people.
T.J. Sanders listed as the number 3 defensive tackle still on the board. So you expect, I think, to hear Eamon, Sanders, and Demetrius Knight today.
Possibly, yeah. I think those are probably the 3 that's most likely. I think the big day yesterday was for T.J. Sanders because so many tackles got drafted early in the first round. So if there's still teams out there with needs for defensive tackles, those things will be filled because some of those guys are already taken off the board.
803-404-6100. If you hear anything you want to weigh in on this morning, we'll come back and we will wrap everything up. You're listening to the early game.
Preston here for our friends at Integrated Media. Listen, we've been telling you all spring, all that you needed to get ready. And look, it's almost already May. If you haven't called, you can still have time to call the folks at Integrated Media to get your outdoor setup ready. You might have missed the first round of the draft, but you can still call the folks at Integrated Media. You can get Samsung Terrace TVs that are waterproof. You can get Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, or Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors, so you can have all your screens going. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, drafts, UFL, Birmingham Stallions, whatever you need, you can have the folks at Integrated Media set you up so you won't miss a thing. So from home theater setup to adjusting your thermostat, maybe it's monitoring security systems from your cell phone, Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. Call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327.
Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. Right now, it's time for you to take control of your comfort, and it's time to do it today. That's right. AAA Heating and Air is helping you be prepared for those Columbia summer hot days by offering you 12-month payment plans with no credit check on repair services. That's right. Maybe you don't just actually need a new heating and air unit. Maybe you just need some repairs done. Well, guess what? AAA Heating and Air is offering you an incredible plan. 12 months, payment plans with no credit check on all repair services. So you don't need to just be sweating this summer because of the heat. You won't even have to sweat your repair costs. Call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Again, that's 803-677-1500. You can tell them Bill Gunner is the one that sent you. Again, 12-month payment plans, no credit checks on repair services. You heard that right. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Earlier, we saw you pulling out the suit, looking at it, and it's great. But I'm a little jealous of you right now because your footwear is far more comfortable than mine. What's going on here with the Crocs?
Yeah, Crocs with the Swarovski crystals in them, and, just trying to show you can be comfortable but still look fly as well,
You're pulling it off well, and I think I'm going to just go out on a limb and say you're the first person to wear Crocs the first round of the NFL draft.
And we'll be the last person. Hopefully the last person. I saw a meme the other day that said I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. One is that I've never bought Crocs.
That you never bought? Or
never owned, bought.
Okay, so that was a mistake.
Yeah, it was some meme.
Okay.
I'm not anti-Crocs. It's not my preferred footwear.
Yeah, it's not mine either. But my big question was, he said you can be comfortable and look fly. And I categorically denied that.
Jen, your kids are more, I feel like, in the Crocs age. Like Austin has a pair, but I feel like the Crocs are more of a younger generation type deal, right?
Especially you can put the gibbets in there, the little charms on them and stuff like that. I have a couple pair, and I have like a Chicago Cubs one and stuff like that. Got to have some fun with it. I don't know that I would go to the expense of necessarily, again, having Swarovski crystals in my Crocs. Maybe not, but they're definitely on trend.
They are, yeah. They feel old.
Also, I'm learning about Swarovski crystals. Did not know anything about them.
Oh, really?
Now I'm learning about them. Yeah. So
what have you learned so far?
I'm learning that they're crystals. I didn't know if he was actually saying a word just now. This was Swarovski.
They kind of started with like figurines, like crystal figurines and things like that, and then have branched out to now jewelry, and apparently now they're in the Crocs game.
They're in the Crocs game.
It's a very interesting. Yeah, I just deny that. I deny that. I reject that premise. The whole point when you get dressed up is to be uncomfortable. You have to be uncomfortable when you get dressed up, whether you're wearing a tux or a dress for a lady. The whole point is I'm a little bit uncomfortable. Your shoes are kind of tight.
I would say your shoes should hurt you or you don't look good.
At the end of the night, your shoes, you got to, because the best moment is kicking off your shoes, maybe untying your tie, rolling up your sleeves. All of that's part of getting fly. And if you're comfortable, you're not fly. That's 100%. I categorically deny and reject that premise. You can't be fly and be comfortable. You got to be. That's why you got a cummerbund, because you got to tuck stuff in, and you got to put Spanx on. It's all a big to do to look good.
I can't disagree. And also, you should have kind of a swagger to you. You can't swagger. You can't strut. You can't have a fancy catwalk walk in Crocs.
Crocs, yeah.
No.
Don't work.
Can't do it.
Doesn't work. So JD, I appreciate it. You're a great running back. You're wrong on this sense.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the picture, like the toe and back to the ankle there on one side. It kind of wraps around. The Crocs symbol is all in crystals. They're black, but yeah, it's definitely something that I would not even.
He made a choice. And
he's getting the attention for it.
I commend anybody for making a fashion choice. I'm not against it. I tend to lean more traditional, but I do appreciate people being fashion forward. But I'll just reiterate again: if you're comfortable, you're not dressed up.
This is a hot topic. Robert weighs in, says if you're over 12 years old, you shouldn't wear Crocs. KT weighs in, get some, Bill. They will change your life. Jonathan goes with Crocs are great and comfortable for around the house shoe, not to be worn in public for me.
Okay, I see. There's a lot here for this.
And a lot of medical professionals. You see, my husband had surgery a few weeks ago, and she had a really cool pair, and it was an upgrade of a kind of a Croc and stuff like that. So there are certain professions where it also is a good thing. But again, it's work. It's not fancy time.
Correct.
Well, yeah.
Fancy time. I like that phrase. Fancy time.
Last night was fancy time, and it doesn't seem like Ashton Genty wanted to live up to that. But hey, he's going to Vegas. You know what? If you're gonna have crystal Crocs, you may as well be going.
That's probably the place to have them.
It wouldn't fly in Green Bay or Pittsburgh or somewhere like that. But
that is the city. You're right. That's a great observation. If there was a city where crystal Crocs would go, it would be Vegas.
And not only this, but I feel like of all the coaches you're going to, Pete Carroll's the one guy who'd be like, I like the drip. I like the swag, yeah.
Okay, I got you. That's okay.
I feel like Pete Carroll's the guy who's like, let's talk about this and let me figure out where you got those so I can get a pair. That's how I feel like that would go down. So really, really cool, really interesting, but yeah, not what I would go for. Again, one more text. The only good use for Crocs is a cheap, low-quality river shoe.
I like the categorization of that. Yes, and listen, do what you want to do. I just reject the premise. You can't be fly and comfortable. It doesn't work. Your shoes gotta hurt a little bit.
Allen goes with the holes in Crocs allows your dignity to escape. So.
But what if you have Swarovski crystals in those holes?
It covers up the holes. Dignity stays in. So we'll see. That's interesting night last night. We went through the worst and best dressed. Preston, I guess best dressed for you though. Well, worst dressed is very easy.
Yeah, Schefter, what are you doing? What a terrible look. A hoodie underneath a suit with a tie, bad look.
And then the hoodie actually matches the suit too, as if it's not like he got there and was like, man, it's a little chilly. I better get just a hoodie.
What a terrible look.
Oh, what a day. What a day. All right, it's been a lot of fun this week. Enjoy your weekend. South Carolina baseball, more NFL draft, softball taking place. Good luck to the men's golf team. So much going on. Look forward to getting back with you on Monday and covering it all. And Birmingham Stallions.
Let's go.
Let's go. Y'all have a good day.
Stallion up. Press here for our good friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, it's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly